Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lucky Ones podcast. I'm your host, Lucky Wood. I am joined tonight by a reoccurring special guest, Mr. Greg Sharp, woo, from the World Series of Arm Wrestling and a bunch of other
This
stuff too.
this is my second time on. I'm honored. I appreciate you having me.
Of course, we're really happy to have you. You did such a good job. We just had to have you back.
Well, that was my AI personality. I am hoping that being live and real this time it'll be just as good, maybe a little bit better. But my daughter tells me about all these kids now that they use Chat GPT. Is that the thing out there? Where you can write PhD level papers on a kindergarten budget and you know be some of the smartest people out there.
It's insane. Um, the little tricks that they gave us teachers to be able to like scan, and but I mean at the same time, like if you know your students, you know they didn't use deplorable in a in one of
Correct.
their essays. But um, teachers teacher hack, you can use some stuff to write essential questions and objectives on Chat GPT, and it is a lifesaver.
Well, it's interesting. Life has evolved. I mean, if you look at history, there's been certain points of time, in my opinion, where life as we know it has evolved very fast, right? I mean, certainly the invention of electricity, certainly the invention of the motor. Once the plane came about, I mean, life changed, right? We went from wagons and horses to being able to move distances with an engine. Uh,
Right.
we we went from being only able to travel with motorized vehicles to a point where we were able to fly. So we've bridged gaps in time with technology, but I think we're at a point where we may be moving as fast in my opinion, for historical reference than we ever have. And I study history quite a bit through school, and albeit that I was a chemical engineer, I mean history has always been something that was of interest to me. Um, look at elections. We're in a, and not to become political, but and I won't be political. But when you look at elections changed with the advent of the TV, right? Because
Right.
we no longer looked at somebody through a hearing spectrum, right? When meaning that you'd hear them on the radio, you'd hear their points of views, you understood what their platforms were, and then the TV changed it to become visual, and so people gravitate to good-looking people, and they look away from people that have imbalances in their lives in terms of physicality. So it changed elections. Now we're in a period of time where social media is a constant pulse of elections, right? I can't turn on my computer and go on any of my servers without seeing either vote for one side, vote for the other side. It's real time. It's people get on Instagram, they get on Facebook, and they're talking about their candidates, and it's like but life moves fast. And I think that Chat GPT is one of those things that, is the next evolution of teaching. Because at one point, we went from graph paper to the Texas Instrument calculator, right? And
Right.
I'm not quite sure when that was, but I could tell you that my son was in ninth grade and he had just gone into high school. And he came home and said, I need this Texas Instrument calculator in order to be in math class. I said, okay, well, I said, maybe there's a value to it. I'm not quite sure, but I'll play into it. It's $100 calculator back then. And I was like, well, they're really putting the stress on parents. But then when it came to, solving equations and graphing and stuff like that, uh, I anticipated sitting down with my son and actually getting a piece of graph paper and showing him how to solve equations and doing it, through manual abilities. But they don't. They put it in those TIs and they pop it up and it gives you the answer right off the bat and it gives you the graph. And so I went in to talk to my son's teacher and I said, why don't you teach this anymore? And they said, well, because we no longer think that teaching that is a skill set that children need to know. And what that means is that we'd rather them learn how to put it into a calculator or a computer to get the right answer than to be able to figure it out on their own. And I think ChatGPT might be that next, evolution of teaching where, we don't really need kids to be able to formulate real sentences and understanding. We just need to be able to teach them how to put it into the computer so the computer can make them look as, intelligent as can be. And
right. And it's truly sad because now if you, hand a cashier that's under 20 a 20 and they have to make change and the computer's down, that's where that lack of calculator has really left us.
And I think old people like myself find a little bit of parental humor in that, especially when you hand them the 20 and it's, $6.94 and they don't know how. And you just say, oh, it's 1306. And they look at you and they're like, oh, well, I got to get a calculator out and do it. I said, that's okay. I already did it for you. That's what it is.
Right.
The translation is that I think in some aspects kids are wiser, but in some aspects kids are not. I think kids have gone backwards a little bit in their educational values. But we're not talking about education, although that's a great topic.
Yeah, I could totally be on that conversation for forever.
If we want to do a podcast with you, or you want to do a podcast with me and talk about education, I'd love to sit here and ponder the universe. Who is the great astrologer that's out there? That's Tyson. What's his? He talks. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's been all over the place. He's a very, very well-known astronomer and astrological professor, and I can't think of his name. But anyway, it'll come to me, and we can see if we can invite him down and really start talking some unearthly things.
I call it the lucky ones in education.
There you go, absolutely. Or we could call it the lucky honor roll or the unlucky detention, right?
There you go. Love it. So tell us about the WSA. You guys have wrapped up your qualifiers. So talk a little bit about that. I know you can't talk about a whole lot, but talk about what you want to and what you can.
Well, you know what? It's been a great season. Season 3 was a tremendous season. And I kind of recapped it a little bit on a couple of different lives and a couple of different shows. We started off in Riverside and we had a great turnout in Riverside. And to say that we're going to be anywhere else other than California 2025 for the finals would not be a correct statement, because the level of pro and amateur entry and athlete was the highest in Riverside, and it should be, I think, because number one, it's my backyard. I think people, if they truly respect you and support you, they're going to come out to your own backyard, and I think we proved that with Riverside. Riverside had a lot of new pullers, had a lot of new interesting stories. We also saw, leaving Riverside, about 3 to 4 young ladies who competed, and I'll kind of tally up the lady count, because I think that's, if we're going to be on a female podcast talking about arm wrestling and ladies arm wrestling in general, I think it's kind of interesting to kind of see what that pod or that pool of contestants really look like. We went to Dallas next, and the TAL did a great job, and they always do. I really enjoy being out there with Billy and Sarah and Dustin and all those guys. And, they were our second largest regional in terms of numbers and in terms of entries. I believe they had 3 young ladies compete out there. And I think with Sarah, it would make 4. So I think we're somewhere between 7 and 8 at total going across the country. We left Texas. I had to drop off some stuff from, the truck to Knoxville with Megan. Then we went out to Jacksonville. We had a few young ladies out there, one that's sitting right in front of me on the screen. And ultimately, I think all 3 of you guys are coming to the finals, which is great. I know you are. I think Amanda is, and I know Angie is. So now we're up to 11. The Jacksonville was special because of the Marine Corps out there. I thought that was unique and a really positive thing for us. We then moved to Atlantic City. Atlantic City was maybe the disappointing factor on the women's side. We didn't have any women show up in Atlantic City. Still really haven't figured out New York as a whole, but we're not giving up on New York yet, or at least the Northeast. We're going to be back in Atlantic City next year. But we did not find any participation on a female end from Atlantic City. What's that?
I said, oh, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I thought I heard something completely different. That's okay. I thought you said great. That's why I was like, what?
Yeah. No, I do feel bad though, because some Northwestern or some Northeastern ladies had reached out and asked if I was going, and I told them I had gone to North Carolina because, like, literally that's right in the middle. Like, I could have done either one that day, and I was like, I didn't, but you need to go so you can get in the qualifiers. And they're like, I'll think about it, hopefully. So I did amp you up, but I'm sorry that some of them didn't show up.
It happens. It happens. But, we had a great time in Atlantic City. We had some really unique pullers come. I think probably the biggest name that's out of the Atlantic City area that's coming to the finals is Travis Bajent. Albeit he's had a couple of super matches that haven't gone his way, but knowing Travis, a lot of times he's lying in the wait and will be ready for, I'm sure, the November 2nd tournament. The Kansas City tournament was great. Ryan Johnson was just a tremendous host. We had a lot of great pullers come there. I met, I think it was Shauna and her wife, correct?
Correct, Brittany.
They were there. And interesting, a lot of people, her name is Christine Frisbee. She showed up. Now, she's well into her 60s. Pulled back in the 80s and 90s, was a world champ at the time. She came just to support, and that was an amazing time. We certainly had a great time in Kansas City. We shot all the way out to Utah after that, and we had Angela Matthews show up.
Oh, wow.
And coming to the finals. And Jolene Anderson was there, and Haley Johnson was there. Jesse, I know I'm going to hurt her last name. Thank you. She showed up as well. So not as many female arm wrestlers that we've seen in the past from Utah, but I think we had 5 total. So if we look across the board, I think we probably were somewhere between 15 and 17 female arm wrestlers over 6 qualifiers, which is okay. I mean, it's definitely a start. It could have been more, it could have certainly been less. So it's now the big push to try to get as many athletes, female athletes, to the finals, because I think that'll make it pretty exciting. And we're giving away, I have to look at my notes. I apologize, but I think we're giving away $2,000 total between first, seconds, and thirds in the 2 weight classes. So there's money to be made. Hopefully that'll incent at least 3 people to show up. But you know what? It's always tough. Arm wrestling is a sport of hobby for us still in the U.S. And it's a sport, of convenience. And what I mean by that is it's a convenience to your schedule. So November 2nd may be great for Greg out here in San Diego, but you have to factor in that everybody else has lives, which I can't believe that. They have to have a life for me only, but everybody else has lives, and they need to be able to facilitate, finding that time and that convenience to be able to get out and participate in a finals match. So my fingers are crossed. The bashed finger, that looks like I painted it, but it's fingers crossed. This one happened in Riverside. It was my first go around putting the tables together, and a young man that was helping me thought he was helping me in a good way by stepping in and pushing down on the table with my finger between the wood and the bottom of the table. I calmly looked up to him and I had asked him, "Can you please not do that again? And by the way, can you take your foot off the table?" But at that point, it has migrated. I'm not quite sure if the nail's going to come off or not. We'll play it by ear. I'm not in any hurry to take it off, but it does lead to some interesting conversations in different circles of life, for sure.
For sure.
But you know what? We had a great season. Here's a funny thing. I'm going to tell you, little things in life I noticed. There was no traffic. I didn't hit any traffic at all. All the way around the country. Maybe a slowdown in terms of some construction sites here and there, down to one lanes, but never to a point where I stop and start. The only time I hit any traffic at all was California. So as soon as I got back into California, I hit traffic. And when you leave California, you realize that $4.55, 59-cent gas goes down to $3 really quick. And there are some places across the country that are well under $3 that you can fill up your tank. And then you question why it is that we take in gas on the coast of California, specifically San Diego through, Los Angeles, and yet we have the highest gas prices around. We don't have any transportation costs to move it from the refinery to our gas stations. But man, somebody's getting an extra $1.50 a gallon somewhere, and doing some really fun things with that money, because it is true though. We do pay a lot of money, and we have congested roads in California, and you don't realize it until you get outside of the area that it really is not a fictitious statement at all. So
no, I got my day off of work on the 1st, so nice. I'm already creating we're not talking about education, I'm already creating my lesson plan so that I can fly out there in peace, and I'm super excited. But yeah, I'm planning on getting a hotel super close and walking. We not driving.
Well, the good thing about where our location is this year is that it's just a tad bit north of the airport, where we were just a tad bit south in previous years at a Harley closer to me. But this location is really right outside the heart of Pacific Beach. The nightlife and the ability to jump in an Uber and go anywhere in 7 or 8 minutes is uniquely vested in this location. So I think that being a destination spot, I think there's some real value, especially even if you're just a middle of the run arm wrestler on traveling from, let's say, Kansas City, but you want to get out of the cold. What better place to go and spend a weekend in the 70 plus degrees in San Diego and be able to pull in a tournament, which is a free tournament, right? I mean, you paid your dues to get in. There's no more entry fees. So all you have to do is come in, show up, and lay it out on the table, and hopefully you take home some cash and a medal and some really great memories.
So I was recently talking to an organization, and there were some, not discrepancies, but there's just some differences in the way that they run their qualifiers to the way that people, that some of us, myself included, were assuming that it would be run. And so can I just pick your brain, and you don't have to answer it. There's not an attack on you. Whatever the answer is what the answer is. But can I run a couple things by you as far as questions that people might have? All right. So for the women specifically, there are 2 weight classes. Are you allowing the women to pull in the class that they qualify for when they get there, or are they only allowed to qualify for the match that they qualified before? So for me, we talked about it a little bit. I'm on my weight loss journey, hoping to be, a weight class when we get there, but that wasn't the weight class that I pulled in Jacksonville. Is that going to be allowed?
Well, here's the rule of thumb, and it's a great question. But there's some mitigating factors to this. And the mitigating factors has been that we haven't had any weight class in itself have enough to sufficiently handle a qualifier. And what I mean is that we typically look for 4, right? I mean, most of every place that we went to, we had 3, even though we had 5 women arm wrestlers in Utah. 2 of them were significantly under 54, and 3 of them were significantly over 54, 55 and plus. So we ended up having a 2 a best of for the 54. And then we put the two girls in the lower class up into the 55 and over, 155 and over. So technically, you could say both of those women could either say the 55 because I pulled it in, or 54, right?
Right.
But here's the problem is that if I don't have enough 54s and under, then I really can't make a weight class, and then I'm going to have to just do one weight class. And I don't know that that makes a value or benefit to anyone. So I'm leaning towards, and you'll have to pin me down to this answer probably mid-September, because I'm really trying to think this one out. I'm leaning to having an open weigh-in the day of for women or the day before, and that weight that they come in at will hopefully be able to seed the weight class, specifically the 154 and under, in order to make it full. So that's the answer. And I've got, and women, here's the other thing I have to take into consideration is that women oftentimes throughout the course of the time of the month, the time of the year, time of their lives, they increase weight, they decrease weight. And the women are more apt to be on a physical journey, I think, than most men do, right? There are men out there that will want to cut weight to get into a lower weight class. But women in general I think, are always more conscientious of the weight and doing it in a right way. And like yourself, you're on a weight loss journey, you're going to get to a point where you feel that you're normalized, and that may be at 140. It might be at 130. It might be at 152. But there is a number that becomes, and I don't want to necessarily penalize it, because there's too little numbers of athletes in the women categories to be able to strictly enforce it. On the men's side, that is strictly enforced. So if you came in at the 76 class and you roll into San Diego at 185, you don't get to pull. You don't go up in weight class. You just don't get to pull. If you're the 209 class and you, once again, don't make weight, you don't get to pull. You don't go to, if you're on a weight loss journey and go down to 176, well, you don't get to pull in 76 because you still make 209. Gotcha. But you would end up being in the 209 class if you qualified in the 209 class. You just can't, you can't wait. Men's, it's interesting because I call it the Vrez rule. And the reason I call it the Vrez rule, and I say this a lot, is because I watched that gentleman cut weight to 167, make the 167 class, and I think I may have lost you. I think the screen froze up on you.
Hey, there it is. Yeah.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. So I lost you at 167.
There we go. Okay, so I was saying at 167, the Vrez rule is that he's won every weight class all the way up to super heavyweight, left and right. And so it takes the fun out of awarding winners. Obviously, if he's that good, to the victor goes the spoils. But I try to keep it so that way it's fair. And who wants to come out and not have a fighting chance to actually win their weight class? Because then it discourages people to come out in general. Just like it would, if I was an open weight class and you had Corey West in it, and he could pull from 67 all the way up, it would be, nobody would want to pull. So we want to make it competitive. We want to make it fair on all ends. But for the women, I will make some adjustments. I'm leaning towards, and that's really to facilitate having competition versus being in a position where I have to then group all the 54 and unders, because I only have 3 or 2, but I have to move them up to the 55 class. But I have 2 154s that were, 165 at their regional, and I could actually move them back and put them in, and then I could have 4 and 4. So it's all about trying to get some really good competition and content, and try to be fair and ethical. I think that's the key.
Definitely. And so, same question as far as the arms go. So if you had, do you have to qualify both arms in order to pull both arms? Okay, perfect.
that is kind of that would be the most enforceable clause.
Right.
For me.
Sure.
And as simple as as simple as this may sound, and maybe as business-like as this may sound, is that you have skin in the game, right? And it comes down to $50. And it's not so much the $50, it's the token that you paid that extra fee to be able to qualify when you had the opportunity to. And at that point, you chose not to. So you shouldn't be allotted or allowed to be able to, basically change that stance just because you're there. So if you didn't pull left, then you have to pull right. If you pulled left and you didn't pull right, then you can only pull left. That's the way I see it.
Perfect. Makes sense. Like I said, I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page as people are planning for this endeavor.
Well, and sometimes sometimes things slip through the cracks too. We'll try to we'll have lists which we're putting together now to be able to self police it. But sometimes accidents happen, and I'm not looking to switch and flip anybody in. But hopefully you guys can self-police as well.
Sure.
But I think most of the time people have integrity. I'm not really worried about that.
Message me later. I have another question that I don't want to ask on here because I don't want to get us in trouble.
I always say I'm a non-denominational organization. I am not looking to be able to argue. I mean, that's, and one of the reasons why I don't like to do podcasting groups and it's not being pretentious by any means. It's just, I don't want to get into philosophical debates about the sport. And I say that because I don't find what I'm doing to be intertwined in a debatable value. I find that we're trying to be a little bit unique and not exclusive, but unique in the fact that I don't try to go, find out who's IFA or WAF or USAA or whatever. I mean, those things don't matter to me because I'm looking to find people that want to compete in an open competition, tell their stories, and get it out to the public. That inner workingness to me between promoters and promotions are just things that I steer clear from. And no one, ultimately, if I'm going to give an opinion, I don't think that anyone wins when they give their opinion. And they do it in a way that's confrontational or aggravated, because simply, I think we're all entitled to an opinion. And we're all entitled to view that opinion as right or wrong.
Right.
Greg doesn't have the right opinion. Lucky doesn't have the right opinion. Nobody has the right opinion. They either have
my significant other might be watching. You did not say that.
but you sometimes find yourself in an opinion-based dispute that the majority may have the same opinion, right? Where I think you may have froze up on me. It froze up twice now where you've had a smile on your face.
Oh my gosh. I wonder if it's...
I hear you. I just, there you're back. It says my internet connection is unstable still. Oh, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So if any question that you ask, I'll take the fifth if I find that it becomes too confrontational. How about that?
Sounds plan. Last
Hang on a second. I'm gonna move my computer slightly here. Maybe I can catch a little bit better Wi-Fi. Hang on.
Yeah. Are you good?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, people are texting me in that it's freezing on my end. I think it's my signal.
Gotcha.
I think it's my signal, Lucky, because people are texting me, "Hey, you're freezing up on your end." It's not, but but maybe this is a little bit better.
I can hear you.
Sorry
Good.
about that.
No, you're fine.
So what? All right. What's your next question?
All right, so last question about this qualifier, finals, all that jazz. So I know you said you needed 4 in each class, obviously, to be able to recompensate for what you guys are doing, which is totally good. So if we have 6 155s pull up, 2 154s, and the 154s go up, that gives you 8. Are you willing to then at that point spread out the money through 1 through 8 like you do with the men, or are doubling the prize for 1, 2, and 3?
I've thought about that as well. I'm going to use that as a game time decision,
Okay.
simply because I want to see who. I want to be positive, right? One of the things I try to do is manifest positivity, right? So I'm extremely hopeful. I'm going to throw it out into the universe. There it goes. We're going to have 4 in each weight class, and we won't have this as a contemplatable decision, but we'll make a game time. Ultimately, the goal is not to hurt the integrity of what we do. Whether this is going to sound pretentious, and it's not meant to be, but there are sometimes decisions that are made based upon financial value, and in this case, I've already allocated the money to be paid out. So recovering $1,000, would that mean that we're going to party better down in PB that night? Maybe, I don't know. But I just don't know that the integrity of what we do sustains that kind of decision. Now, if there's only 4 girls and that's all that comes, 4 young ladies, then maybe, I mean, it doesn't make sense to pay down to ask the ladies that came. But it has crossed my mind when you drive 10,362 miles. You find that you find those decisions and those questions to contemplate. And I've been laughing because I've been I jest, but I don't jest in terms of somebody else's faults. But I said that I need to check into a Narcotics Anonymous program, because after traveling all that distance, I keep seeing white lines in my sleep. So I'm trying to recover. I'm a recovering white line driver. So, but at the end of the day, the value for me and the hope for me is that we find the content and the competition that makes people come the following year and the following year and the following year. The very worst thing that can happen is that we have to make a decision because only 3 girls come, and then it's just, am I facilitating something within the world of sports that makes sense? Because if the athletes aren't committed, and I know that there's always the level of, well, if it was equal, it'd be equal, but I think it would be remiss to say there's not as many women arm wrestlers as there are men in the U.S. I just don't think that those numbers equate out. And when you look at entries versus men versus women, I don't think the numbers equate out. However, I think that the value of competition can translate to an equitable value if enough young ladies come in and there's a variety, right? When you look at a sporting event, everybody hated Tom Brady for winning, 7 or 8 Super Bowls, whatever. He would win all the time. You could look at the man's statistics, and he won 78% of everything that he did when he played on a football field. But when you're looking to tell a story and translate it into some sort of a series, people don't want to see the same 3 faces come up every time, because then it doesn't become equatable, right? They want to see the underdog. They want to see variety. They want to see, competition. And that's one thing that we've had and struggled with, unfortunately, on a women's level, outside of me, just historically in arm wrestling for decades. And I think that one of the great values of what you do, Lucky, and is that you're really promoting women in terms of the forefront of arm wrestling in your podcast. And I hope that that's starting to translate out to some of the younger people out there to want to be engaging, to want to show up, and to want to compete. So we need the Luckies. We've said that already. We said that last podcast. What you do is invaluable because it helps educate and inform women arm wrestlers that there is a platform for them. There is a value if they come out and compete. And there's hopefully an upside that by doing it consistently, you guys could start to see some equality, if you will, on a prize. But that's the goal. Listen, I always said, the magic eye in the sky doesn't lie, right? When you look down from that camera and you only see two young ladies and you see, 200, men pulling, the value of the teeter-totter doesn't sway to the even.
Were you at Virginia today? That's what happened at Virginia. Oh, it was great, but it was, 100 and something guys and me and Maddie Walker. So it was
Listen, I think that was the VAL tournament, right? There was there were a good bunch of guys out there.
Oh yeah.
Virginia State, yeah. But the answer is that you see it firsthand. Mm-hmm. You could talk to a lot of the female arm wrestlers out there in terms of the promoters, the Sarahs of the world and yourselves, and you, the equation doesn't lie. I mean, if with the exception of Bob Brown, and I think Bob is being the only one person that I can say has the exception, women just, I don't know if there's just not enough dedicated in an area, but Bob has been very successful in bringing women arm wrestlers to the table in his tournaments. But outside of that, it's very, very tough. And I think honestly, California probably does almost as good as Bob, but we're only 4 to 6 on average to a tournament as well. But I would say most promoters, if they got 4 to 6 women, would be ecstatic at a tournament. They really would. They would, they probably almost think that they did something wrong to have that many girls show up.
Right. The only one I will shout out, in addition to Bob and yourself, is Steve Pettis. Steve Pettis does a really good job of getting women out. He was the largest women's class that I've ever been a part of, with 9 in the upper class and then 4 and 2 in the other 2.
And he does the Michigan States, right?
Mm-hmm. And I believe he helped with Mississippi State. Actually today, Mississippi State was today as well.
I heard. I haven't seen the numbers. I know that Sean had posted that he had about 40 entries early, which is great. Mississippi State's is a big tournament. They always draw big. They draw big because you've got a big Louisiana contingency there. You've got a Tennessee contingency that could come down. You've got Mississippi arm wrestling, which is big. So, and if you really want to drive, which you can, Houston's not that far away. I think it's pretty close to being able to get into that lower Mississippi area. I don't know how many Alabama pullers there are, but that whole region is fairly easy to traverse. And Sean does a great job. And I think he had I think it was called Brewski's but a nice location. It looked like it had a stage. Hard to go wrong. And I will say this, a heartfelt prayers for Sean. He's posted a couple of times this week. He's had a very close friend in his life now go on hospice. Sean, my heart's out to you. My prayers out to you, my friend. Never an easy thing to go through, letting go of somebody, especially somebody close, somebody who means a lot to you. So I'm hoping that the young lady finds some peace and translates and transfers to the next side in a peaceful way, and you find some healing at some point. I'm sure he's going to grieve. It's never a good thing. And, when you put it out there on Facebook, I think what happens is you're really asking for people to support you, right? Mm-hmm. Some people battle silently and some people need the support. So my support out to Sean for sure. And I hope that today's event was a good one for him.
Definitely. 100%.
Well, we're coming up on closing time here. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about some fun stuff?
Yeah, tell us about the new TV show.
Well, I mean, we have so many new TV shows. Really, I'll let you break it up, Heaven, first. We are, when I say we, I used to own Explode Fight Series, which was a very big regional promotion of MMA. At one point, we put more people into the UFC, Bellator, and I'll call upper echelon leagues. One FC, a good friend of mine owned it, Victor Koi over in Asia. We were putting more people in as fighters. I relinquished that after many, many years to watch my kids grow up. But I took a meeting yesterday. We came to the conclusion that we are going to open and develop a new company called Bare Knuckle. Well, it's a bare knuckle fighting company. We haven't come up with the final name because we have to do our due diligence to make sure it's not being used, make sure it's not copyrighted or trademarked on any level. But we are going to open up a bare knuckle fighting promotion, which will be landing in the California area to start. And then ultimately, part of the goal is to marry the promotional value of fighting with arm wrestling on an event-like platform to try to collaborate with two separate entities of fan base and really grow to what I'll call niche sports right now. I mean, bare knuckle fighting has been, we'll call an infant. It's in its infant stages now for the last couple of years, but it's certainly got a very high trajectory. Conor McGregor just bought into the bare knuckle fighting. I think it's called Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship out of Florida. And so he's putting his time and his money behind that because he sees the rise of it. So I'm hoping that marriage will create some pretty exciting things to bring, some real dollars and cents through viewership and sponsorship into arm wrestling. And we're also going to spearhead and launch a new betting platform, which is a unique platform simply because it will give a pari-mutuel betting system where you'll be able to put tournament arm wrestling and all of the people in the weight class up on the bracket, and you'll be able to bet on who wins and who's second and who's third, just like you would bet on a horse race. There will be what they call prop bets. Will Lucky come in with purple braids or will she come in with pink braids? There'll be all kinds of fun bets as well. But we're going to launch a demo over the next couple of events. And what we're really going to do, Lucky, is it's going to give us a basis to be able to translate from providing to, or I should say, inception to finish, and give us providing us some data on what our engagement is, where our engagement can get better, some of the unique levels of areas that are viewing us. So it's a quantitative data gauge for us as well. But I think the interactive value is that people will want to get involved on arm wrestling outside of the normal community because now there's an incentive. Listen, University of Tennessee, Virginia Tech, Penn State, Alabama, Florida State lost today by 3 to Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck, and a hell of an engineer. Not a lot of people know that the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets are the Rambling Wreck and a hell of an engineer. But I'm useful information. But people engage in sports, specifically sports that have no real value to them. Through betting, right? Mm-hmm. There are people who've never gone and played college football but want to bet on college football. There are people that never played baseball but want to bet on baseball, basketball, boxing, MMA. All of those sports have a significant betting pool that has generated a popularity outside of their culture. I think that arm bets tried to go in that route. I don't know that they've been super successful. I don't know much about arm bets to begin with, so they may be extremely successful. I don't know. I just haven't heard from them in terms of promotional value in a while. I think they had some dynamics that they had some challenges with, in my opinion, that may have change their trajectory. And that's why I'm going with a pari-mutuel value. Is I don't want to do block betting. Block betting is, in my translation and how I see it, is a value that you have to have equal betting on both sides in order to fulfill a full bet commitment. So if I bet $100 that Lucky can beat me in arm wrestling, and Lucky, you bet only $1 that Greg can beat you, so $99 gets unused. But when you deal with pari-mutuel betting, it becomes an odd-based betting, meaning that let's say we take the women's category and somebody puts $1,000 on Lucky. All right, well, maybe right off the bat, for Lucky to win, her odds drop down to 1 to 5 because all of the money are on you. But then let's say more people get involved, and then all of a sudden there's a new leader. So her odds are lower. So it's a pari-mutuel value where the amount of money bet in is paid out versus the amount of money or the odds based upon that person's handle or pool of money that's bet. So a kind of unique way of doing it. Yep. It's not unique to the world of betting. It certainly is a test run for us. I think it'll be fun to figure out. Our first couple of events are not going to be actual pari-mutuel betting because I don't want to get too far in front of myself. But what we're going to do is we're going to have more of what we call a prop bet system, where people can bet on who's going to win, second, third, accumulate points, and those points will turn into a prize. Nice. That way people get used to going to the website, to the programming. It's a free entry in. And that way we start to get them working within there, that advanced programming. So that way when we do go into 2025, we'll be able to initiate, pari-mutuel betting, very successfully. I'm really one, to believe in walking before I run. And I think there's the best way to walk, right? And give it a test run.
100%. So make sure you check out Greg's shop on all the things, because obviously he is doing some incredible things, and I'm just super excited to see. I'm excited to see season 2. So Tubi, please stop making me tweet you every single day and add season 2.
Out to the universe.
Right. I'm throwing it out. It's going to be here soon. Please. I need season 2 already. Season 3, when that drops, everybody tune in, especially for the finals, because I am predicting it right now. I'm throwing it in the universe. And since he already said their names, I can say them too. Shauna and Angie left-hand match is going to be the best match of the entire show. Don't care. I'm throwing it out there. I'm claiming it, naming it. Going to be absolutely insane.
I have to be a parent, and I hope that everyone wins. But I'm gonna say this: do not discount Angela Matthews and Jolene Anderson.
I would never.
Super heavyweight, or I should say super heavyweight, that 55 and up weight class, right. The heavier class, has 4 very serious arm wrestlers in it. In my opinion.
Well, I'm not going to be offended because I'm moving down to 154.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that, you hinted where you were going. So
I know.
I hinted already where I was, where I'm leaning towards. So right. I'm not trying to discount you. I'm actually trying to give you the wink, wink. You'll be able to be at the 154 class. Right. But the answer is that I think that you have 4 women that are very high caliber arm wrestlers that have been around for a very long time. A lot of people don't know that Angela Matthews has been on the world scene for the last 7 or 8 years. She has traveled quite a bit. She's a very accomplished arm wrestler, but not a very well-known arm wrestler, which is unique. Right. Yeah. But and everybody knows Jolene. I think in the world of arm wrestling, she's just a sweetheart.
I love her.
She's one of the most positive people out there. Yeah, you can't go to an event without a big smile from her and her asking if she can pull with the.
You can't go to an event without her being there. She's at more events than I am.
Well, she is definitely, if in terms of ambassadors like yourself, she is certainly an ambassador of the sport.
100%.
Yeah.
Well,
What's
cool.
cool? What's cool and new? Give me something cool and new from Lucky now that you're back in school. Do you have a favorite
I
student?
have, yes, I do. I have 4 honors classes, and I could not be happier. I'm thriving, so I'm doing
Very
very,
cool.
very well. I'm very
Very cool.
excited.
And you've got your favorite student?
Oh, 100%. I have one in each class, though, so there's 5. So it's not just one, but I'm sure one of them will rise to the top.
That's good. That's good. But you have to keep it secret. They can't let on that they're your
No.
favorite.
No,
Yeah, you got to
I was told by another. The cutest thing happened. I actually got to arm wrestle a student this week. He brought a note from his mom with permission, saying that I was allowed to arm wrestle him, as long as, and if he got hurt, like she wouldn't hold me accountable or responsible or whatever. And so he wanted to do it in the lunchroom, and I was like, "Are you sure?" He was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I'm number 1 in Virginia." And he's like, "Yeah, for the girls." And so then,
ah,
so then I just had to. I was gonna let him play around, but no. As soon as he said that, nope, sorry. And he went straight there. They gave him all sorts of heck the whole day. But he came to me a couple days later. He's like, "I just want you to know, you're my favorite teacher." And I was like, "I don't teach you, bro." And he was like, "Doesn't matter. You're still
that's
my
a,
favorite."
and I can tell you this that little bit is invaluable to the sport because now that young man, that might be the pivotal moment for him to go out and want to become an arm wrestler, right? Or with his friends, or all those people that watched you do it. So kudos to you. You could have easily turned down the match, and certainly, no one would have been the wiser. But now you've put a positive spin on something for hundreds of kids that can now look at this sport maybe several years down the line and think of arm wrestling as an opportunity, and that's what makes the sport so great, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the fact that you beat the young man, he's got a little humble pie he's going to have to eat for a long time.
Right.
Just next year if he comes in and he's 27 pounds more of muscle mass, you know that he's eating the right pancakes, right?
Right. Right. I have to give credit where credit is due, though, because he shook my hand, and I was a little worried when he shook my hand because he had quite the grip. And then the male teachers were making fun of me because they were like, "Why didn't you let him play around?" I was like, "I had to bring him down because I don't know how much he could have been able to handle. That kid is strong." So I'm not going to tell him. I'll wait till the end of the year to tell him. But I was very proud of how, and I was also proud of how he handled it too. He's been a really good kid so far. So,
That's great. Well, I mean, listen, it's all about life experiences, right?
right.
So 20 years from now, he's going to show up at how old are your students this year?
11 and 12, or
So
yeah, 11 and 12.
they're sixth and seventh graders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, let's say in another 18, 19 years, they come back for their 15th or 10th or whatever reunion that comes into play. They're going to come back and they're going to be like, want to arm wrestle you, right? And they're going to all remember that.
Right.
So those are the cool things. Those are the things
Yes,
that make, that's why you're the cool teacher, Lucky. I mean, there's a value to that.
for sure, for sure.
Nice.
So, well, thank you for asking, and thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. As always, it's just a pleasure to engage with you, talk with you. If you guys have a chance to go to one of Greg Shark tournaments, I cannot recommend them enough. They are professional, they are well organized. You will be treated amazing as an athlete. He's really doing great things for the sport, so let's support him as best we can. And
And
I'll
I
see you
appreciate it.
in San Diego.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for having me on, Lucky.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
All right. Admit. Admit. All right, we are going to move on to some other amazing promoters. Some, actually, all 3 have already been talked about tonight. Hey, Josh.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? Can you hear me
Good.
okay?
Yep.
Cool. All right. I think the other two might have stepped away from there.
Like Dan's here, I think. Dan, turn your
He
video on.
is.
Or maybe he disappointed.
There he is. Hi,
Hey, how's it going?
Ryan. Good. How are you?
No, I'm all right.
Awesome. Dan Swartz, turn your video on.
Maybe he did run.
Oh, he's like a phantom.
He fell asleep already.
Probably. Sorry, I made y'all wait.
It's all good.
We were wrapping up, I promise. And I was like, oh, 10:04. I gotta go. So, welcome to the Lucky Ones podcast, and I am your host, Lucky Wood. We've seen two of these gentlemen before. When one decides to turn on his camera, you'll see his face and recognize him. Oh, there he is.
Unmute, Dan.
Now you're muted, buddy. So I wanted to let you guys know that we're just going to run through these questions, but please, please, please just talk about whatever you want to talk about. Stray. I'm all about rabbit trails. Apparently they're called rabbit holes. But I still say rabbit trails because that's how I talk. And then I know all of you just got done with tournaments today, correct? As well. Ryan, did you have a tournament today?
No, I had a tournament on Wednesday.
Wednesday. That's what it was. Okay, cool. So Dan and Josh just got done with the tournament today that your girl was at, and it was awesome. But all right, so we will start with our new guest that we haven't heard from at all, Mr. Johnston. Tell us about your promotion and organization and tournament, sir.
Yeah, so I guess I don't really have a promotion as much as I just put on tournaments. Been doing tournaments for probably 8 years now. Started it basically as a charity event that kind of grew, and now I'm running more events throughout the year, just trying to garner more interest in arm wrestling in the Kansas City area. I mean, we typically get 200 to 400 entries at any tournament. We have a pretty big polar base around here, and it's only getting bigger. We had a Wednesday night tournament, and I think we had 50 entries, 40 something, close to 50, which isn't bad for Wednesday night, but it was something I did with Travis Bajent for his son playing the Kansas City Chiefs from the Bears, and he wanted to do something to kind of gain some or earn some extra money while he's in town. And I was like, I can help you put that on. He reached out to Don Underwood, and Don Underwood reached out to me to set something up. It was actually pretty cool because Hard Knocks was there filming, and Tyson, obviously showed up, and Travis being Travis, him and Don Underwood pulled a super match, and anytime Travis Bajent's around, it's usually a good time, and just the whole thing was pretty exciting, and that's just kind of what I don't have like I said, I don't necessarily have a promotion. It's basically just me running tournaments, but it's pretty cool to see the things that it's grown into and ended up something like that probably going to be on Hard Knocks next week for a little bit.
That's awesome. Very cool. So, Dan, Josh, tell us about the VAL.
We're on as the official VAL. That was our third tournament. Was today, so one more this year, and then plan to have 4 more next year. So good start. I think Conquest was the highest with 180 entries, 120 for War, and this one was 170. So
nice. Went back up.
Yeah, hoping to beat both of those next one. That'd be nice. But yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Dan,
so yeah, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm toast. Josh got it covered. Today was a definitely a good tournament, man. It's each one keeps getting better. I think Chaos is going to be the best one yet. So
Definitely. And I know you had a little bit of competition with West Virginia State's being last weekend, and then you have the brewery coming up the following weekend. So hopefully you won't have any stiff competition, and everybody will just come in November. So November 9th at the Great American Ranch. Good food, good atmosphere, all that jazz. Maybe
Yep.
Josh will come in fourth.
I'm not pulling.
All right. Ryan, tell us a little bit about BMF. Like, you guys have some crazy series going on that you guys are doing with point systems and all that. I saw that online. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so this year with Worlds being in Greece, I decided I wanted to go, and to kind of pitch that to my wife. I said, hey, I'm not going to spend any of my money. I'm going to earn money through running extra events this year. So, as anyone who runs tournaments probably has figured out, there's not much money in tournaments. So that didn't really go as completely as planned, but it helped. It paid for a plane ticket or something, which I like to be transparent. So at the end of this whole thing, I'm going to post the exact numbers. Like, here's the expenses for these 5 events. Here's how much money I made, just so people can know. Like, hey, if you want to make $6,000 in a year, you can spend 16,000 and hope that you make a little bit. But anyways, that's not really what you asked. I'm just kind of going off on a tangent on how I got started with the BMF series. So
yay, rabbit trails! I'm not the only one. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I can. Trust me, I've done plenty of these podcasts, and I can get off on unrelated tangents anytime you want. So, I thought of what can I do to get more interest in arm wrestling and get people to show up to these events over and over again, and a point system, something that kind of builds towards an ultimate goal, is what I came up with, and that ended up being the BMF series. Which can we curse on your podcast? Because I can't really say the acronym without cursing.
Gotcha. At this point, we've been on for an hour. Go for it.
Well, let me. It's the baddest MFer. So fill in the blank. So it's a belt that the UFC created, and I thought, what would arm wrestlers like? Well, arm wrestlers like yeehaw nonsense that they can go yell out in a field somewhere while they're arm wrestling. So what arm wrestler doesn't want to say they're the baddest MFer? So that's kind of where the whole thing came from. You got a belt that says BMF on it. So I got the replica belt from the UFC. I got 2 of them, one for right arm, one for left arm. And then I was like, well, that's for the pro classes. And then I was like, what can I do for the rest of these classes? So I got an axe for amateurs, I got an axe for women, and I got hammers for masters. So all of it's kind of centered around, who's the baddest person out of this whole series. The idea is who's the baddest guy, the baddest woman, baddest old guy, baddest amateur in arm wrestling, but not every John Brezink, Travis, Devin, those are the baddest guys. They just didn't show up to the series. So right now it's Austin Tevis who's in the lead. He's been pulling every tournament.
Nice.
I have a BMF class where it's seeded by weight, and he's done really well at every tournament. Won a couple of them, beating the heavyweights. So that's kind of the whole name of the game, is you get points based on your class, how many people are in your class, how many people you beat, and then how well you do in the BMF class. And it's worked really well to get people to keep coming back to the events. Sounds like VAL is a newer promotion. You guys have been doing it for 2 years now, you said?
Ish, yeah.
That's what I can tell you, is just find ways to keep people interested somehow. And my ways has always been super matches. Let me even make it simpler. The easiest way to get people's attention is money, but you guys aren't streaming from a mansion, so you don't have enough money to get the attention of most pullers anymore, because you need to give $10,000 out for first place to get people's attention. it's ridiculous how much money arm wrestlers want now. So second thing is cool awards. Those are cheaper, easier to come by. Get cool awards. Cool awards, super matches. Do those two things, get some marquee super matches and cool awards. You're going to get attention to your event and probably pump up your numbers a bit. And it's worked for me throughout the years. I've noticed a direct correlation between the quality of super matches and the quality of awards and how many people show up. So it's pretty simple.
Definitely. Josh is gonna lose his awards pretty soon.
Oh
Can't
my.
even place second left.
It's hard to pull your own event.
I love you. I love you, Josh. Just kidding. You did a great job today. I had to
Are
give
you
him a
trying
hard
to pull
time.
your own events, Josh?
I did. This one was the Arnold qualifier.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me, I run brackets, do registration, do everything, and I pull multiple classes at my events. So
Yeah, it was.
by the end of every day, I feel like I have the flu the next day every single time I run an event.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's like one thing
But
next and the next.
I can't ever
I
pass
felt
that
so
pulling
bad.
for
He
free.
got pulled off the table to go fix the computer. He's like, ready to go. And they're like, the computer went down. He's like, just kidding. Like Batman. And then he came back and destroyed the guy. So obviously it didn't distract him too bad.
No, it's hard. Very few people do I see run events and pull, and the best one's Corey Miller. He'll run an event, run brackets, and sit there and beat everybody and that shows up to his event. And
That's
then
how it was at Winter Blast. He just
yeah,
went along and then did his class, went back, cleaned them up.
yeah. No, I try to do that. I'm just not quite that good. I'll do good in my weight class, maybe a couple weight classes ahead, but he'll sit there and beat ranked heavyweights, and I'm just man, some guys are just built for this.
Oh, yeah.
For real. So, Josh, why'd you get into arm wrestling?
Oh my goodness. So the telltale story of everybody did it at lunch, arm wrestling at school, whatever. But like I don't know. Probably it was pre-COVID. I was still in school, and then I was watching. I don't know if you heard of Juji Mufu. Did a lot of YouTube stuff. Big YouTube guy. He got into the arm wrestling scene for a little bit, and he had a meet and greet downtown Richmond, and I was like at a WAL event, and I was like, I want to go there. So me and my dad went, and I got to meet like I didn't know at the time. I got to meet Giannis, Marcio Barboza, like a whole bunch of big names, and then I got to meet Juji, and then
Nice.
that's when Stan recruited me for Team Brutal, and
That's awesome.
That's it.
I love it. How about you, Ryan?
How did I get started in arm wrestling?
Mhm.
Oh, I've been arm wrestling for about 18 years now. I got started. We have a lot of world champion arm wrestlers around Kansas City, and one of them, if you ever watched Game of Arms back in the day, whenever it was a reality TV show on AMC, the place in Kansas City where they arm wrestled, they called the Ponderosa, that was owned by Don Fritchie, and his son was Ethan Fritchie on the show, the younger kid that was on Team Kansas City, and he was one of my friends and got me into it.
Nice. That's awesome. I think Dan's coming back. Yeah, there he is.
Back,
Dan, welcome back.
I don't know what happened. I couldn't hear a thing. The sound went off.
Oh, no worries. It can get glitchy sometimes. We were just talking about why we got into this great, amazing sport.
All right.
And now it's your turn to answer.
All right. Yeah. I mean, so I've always liked arm wrestling. I mean, going back to, I remember watching Over the Top as a little kid, and how I thought that movie was cool, but never really never really knew or that it was organized or whatever. Arm wrestle through school, high school, arm wrestle all the time, on the job sites and all that. And then it was pretty much about the time the Game of Arms came out. Was like mid to 2015, 2014, or whenever that came out. Started watching that, thought it was cool as anything, and then the WAL was watching all that stuff, and then me and my buddy Big Mike, we were arm wrestling on the kitchen counter one day. They were over for dinner. Kids were playing, and we're pulling up Devin Larrett videos and watching all this stuff, and start gripping up on the kitchen countertop and pulled hard for 10, 20 minutes, both arms. And about that time is like when we started like looking around, like there's got to be a team or something, to train with. And that's when I found Team Brutal and hit up Stan. And but yeah, so that was a little over 2 years ago. My first tournament was sit downs, national sit downs, and that was 2 years ago this past April. So, and then my first stand-up tournament was the first Franklin tournament, which was in June or July. So I've been pulling. That was my anniversary of my 2 year pulling stand-ups. So
Nice.
Yeah, it got bit by the bug, and then and then it kind of just went from there. This whole thing with the VAL and all that, and
yeah, you kind of jumped with both feet in at that point, because you guys started the VAL. That would have been like less than 2 years with you being in the sport.
Exactly. Yep.
Josh, you actually trusted him to come on board.
Hey man, he started it. Mastermind.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't know which one of y'all started it. I just knew I was going to give one of y'all crap. So that's awesome.
Well, so Josh did like he started like with there was the Bash at the Barn. There was 2 tournaments, and that was like right around the time, and I'm like, who's number one in Virginia? Like, how do we know who's number one? I see some of these other states are organized, and so that's kind of what jump started this. Like, let's just organize this thing so we can build something that's cool, and that we have it's going to grow over the years. The first year is going to, just like Ryan was just talking about the whole money thing, and like there ain't no money in it. It's like it's the labor of love. Like everything you just said was on point. Like, because we literally just had a meeting, me and John, like 3 hours ago. Just kind of $2,500 in payouts, and we pay our refs and all that kind of jazz, and
Wait, y'all had payouts?
First place.
For
First place. What's that?
For men?
For men?
For men?
Yeah, it's half of the pot for the class.
Yeah, it's half the pot.
You guys don't have a pot.
Women are free.
I
know. We don't charge for our women.
I want my entry back.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's kind of the whole the dealio with me. I mean, was just the whole motivation of wanting to build something here, something great for us, so we could enjoy it, and then branch out beyond there. Like, really, I would say the bigger vision would be to be like the East Coast hub of arm wrestling. So
Nice.
Yeah, and I've done the 50-50 payout stuff, and it's something that you guys will have to do a cost benefit analysis over time on your end, find out if that money's better spent other places, or higher quality awards, paying some people to fly in and do super matches. That's kind of where I decided to reinvest that money. Is I'll fly in Cody Merritt to come pull somebody, or I'll reach out to Corey West or somebody, big enough. I have some good connections from being in this sport for a long time. And a lot of guys, if you just reach out to them and say, hey, if I pay your travel, will you come out? So rather than paying out $2,500 in a 50-50 payout, you could fly in probably 2 big names and get some, have them pull someone right and left-handed, get 4 really high quality super matches that get a ton of attention. So it's that's just kind of, but I know there are a lot of guys who say, oh, I want some money to do this too. So if you guys are getting more entries from the 50-50 payout, then different areas of the country have different expectations. So I understand that as well.
Yeah, we've had some pullers say things like, I've never won money at an arm wrestling tournament. We hear that every now and then. Like, well, I've actually won money. Like, it's cool, you know. But I like those ideas too. For sure, dude. Yeah.
Well, and I've had people say like it's not a real pro class if you're not paying money. I'm like, well, I'll charge you $31 and then you pay me $1 extra whenever you start pulling. It's like whatever. I pay you $1. So
Yeah, yeah.
it is what it is, and it's what works for us in Kansas City may not work out in Virginia, or it might. Uh, I'm trying to think. I don't know a lot of pullers out from Virginia, so you guys got to build up that area.
Yeah, we
So-
don't have many big guys here.
Oh, really? Maybe that's why.
You're talking to the big guy,
Oh
Josh.
Oh my
Right,
goodness.
right.
He's our number one.
He's our number one right now.
Well, didn't you say you got fourth place today?
I got
Left,
third.
left hand.
Got third.
He got third left, but he held his title for right, and so we are very proud of him.
I'm just kidding. Either way, man, that's pretty.
I can't say anything. I'm number one, and I got second right hand, but I got first left. So
It happens. I mean, hell, I'm ranked number one in Missouri, and I can get 2 and out in any given tournament. You never know how it goes. Right, people show up just because you're ranked number one in your state doesn't mean that the third person in another state can't come whoop your ass. But sorry,
you're good. I mean, but I think we saw that. Not to get too far off topic, but we definitely saw that with the round robins that Lorraine Jenkins put on. Is you never knew what was going to happen with those, because especially with the round robin format, you get one number one guy with number one guy, and they get in a battle the very first round, and they're spent, and then they got people who never could have beaten them in round 7. So.
Oh yeah, and that's a numbers game too. Just people who get an easier draw at the beginning, or not necessarily easier. There's no easy draw in those round robins, but they got more gas in the tank by the end. They're gonna have an easier time.
Oh, for sure. I'd be paying Josh to redo the brackets, so I go up against
him. Randomize as many times as you want to.
Right. I'm just hitting him with 20s. Hit it again. Hit it again.
Do you guys use Corey Miller's brackets to send into airs?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the way to do it.
Oh yeah.
I send in all my stuff. I'm ranked number 5 on airs right now. I feel like I'm doing something with my life.
60.
Did you go to Worlds, Ryan?
I'm going to IFA World in Greece, so I leave October 1st for that.
Nice.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. Yep, I'm excited. I pulled nationals for USAF for the past 2 years and then went to IFA this year. I won 187 2 years ago and then got second and third right and left-handed this past year. And I pulled that was at 187. I pulled 210 this year and walked in about 199. So, well, I don't really cut weight, and I was trying to put on some weight for that. Didn't go too well. I think I won 2 or 3 matches each hand and lost 2, obviously. So, but my losses were to Eli from Illinois, who won Worlds last year, and top roll Alex. So can't be too upset about that.
Not at all.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Awesome. So you guys hinted to it a little bit, but I'm just going to ask the question so we can talk about it a little bit more, is how is your promotion working to grow the sport, especially when it comes to the ladies class or getting people involved as far as like amateurs or new pullers?
I guess
Don't
we'll start. I mean, so for women's class entry, we're trying to promote, more women in the sport. We've got a free entry for women in our all of our tournaments. New pullers. I mean, we have a lot of vets that show up and like to help coach these guys and make sure they're pulling safely on the tables and stuff like that. A couple stuff I saw today. Nick Johnson coaching some guys up there. I don't know, just try to keep bringing the dudes back. Make sure everybody has a really good time.
Yeah, the quality of the tournament and all that means a lot to us, and just trying to step it up every time.
Ryan?
Yeah, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having some weird stuff pop up on my end, so if I'm going in and out, just let me know, but I'll keep talking.
You're good.
So women's classes have been a real difficult thing for me to grow here in Kansas City. Shauna Wagner and Brittany Hayhurst have actually been flying in from Wisconsin for the entire BMF series, and I think it's because they've enjoyed coming out here, and I haven't had a lot of competition for them, honestly, but I think that I treat them well. I talk to them, ask their opinion on things and try to come up with ways to get more women here. It just hasn't been real successful. I think letting women pull for free, what you guys are doing, that's a great idea. I'm an idiot and haven't been doing that, so maybe that's something I need to start doing. Um, I always try to provide them with the same awards. It's just a lot of times I'm throwing those awards in the garbage at the end of the day because no women show up. So it's frustrating. So I try to, it's hard to get women involved at practices because I get 20, 30 guys in my garage every week training. None of them are women. And a woman that comes out, that's pretty intimidating for 20 or 30 grown, grunting men to be yelling and arm wrestling. So you got to find someone who's comfortable enough to come out with that, learn the sport, or be acclimated to the sport, bring some friends. And I've just never had any success with that. So it's something that I've been trying to do for the past 10 years at least and haven't been successful at. So I'm gonna follow whoever's lead can do it. I've talked to James Reed to try and get Michelle Dugan to come out because it seems like she gets a lot of women to follow her, at least pay attention to her. You know, I've set up women's super matches, things like that, and that's gotten women to certain events. It's just never been sustained. So,
Right.
as far as new pullers, BMF series is one way I've gotten a lot of new pullers to come out.
For sure.
That gets them involved. Amateur point system, they have something to pull for, keep coming back for. I've also added a semi-pro class going forward now because I have a lot of guys in this area who are getting too good for the amateur class, but would still. We have top level elite pullers in every weight class in Kansas City. So it scares away a lot of guys who are too good for amateur, but know that there's no chance they would ever win a pro class. So I'm adding a semi-pro class to try and alleviate that and try hopefully gain some more amateur pullers because now those amateurs who run into those high-level amateurs who just beat them all the time and win their classes, they'll pull semi-pro, and then the amateurs are opened up for actual amateurs. So those are a couple ideas. We'll see if it works. I'm doing that next year. Spending a lot of extra money to get semi-pro awards, which is going to be the same as pro awards for every single class. And then amateur awards are going to be rung down. I can't stand, and I'm sorry if you guys do this out of VL, but I hate seeing amateurs get the same awards as pros because it doesn't incentivize those amateurs to stop pulling amateur.
Agreed.
Yep.
But those are just things and like I said, that was not a good answer for women because I don't have a good answer. So maybe you guys can enlighten me with your journey up there and I'll pay attention to what you guys are getting going.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think been doing the pull free thing for basically just this year. I think our biggest turnout was Conquest. I don't think you made it to that one, Lucky, but we had
No, thanks for calling me out.
maybe like 4 or 5 ladies in our classes up there that on that one. But that's the biggest I've seen it here. So
No,
No, she was in.
I was at Conquest. I
Okay,
wasn't
that's
at
right.
War.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
then
were
it was
Conquest.
it was
Yeah.
Conquest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
I
biggest
just
I've
didn't
seen here, but
pull. I didn't pull right at Conquest. So, but yeah, that was a nice day, and like Christy was there, Katie was there, and then Brandy. That was her first tournament, so we had a really good time for that. So I was sad to miss War though, because I definitely wanted to pull with the 2 ladies you had there.
that's right, we did. Yep, it was Maddie and Ella.
Ella, yeah, and they had some really good matches. So the 2 of them. So I was sad to miss it. I was still licking my wounds from the Invitational. Which is why I feel okay about bullying Josh about today, because he bullied me about the invitation. So cancel Josh, because he bullies poor little innocent ladies who.
Nonsense. Slander.
So how can we as the athletes, obviously, aside from showing up, how are we able to support you guys as promoters, and what can we do that would really be like, okay, we feel supported?
I guess
You
biggest thing
said
is
it simply enough, just showing up.
yeah,
But
show up. These I'm getting tagged in so many posts right now. Share the event after, share it before.
Yeah,
Let everybody know how it was. Um, that's basically it.
that's a big one. All the online stuff. Um, help me. Like all that stuff, like all them groups or whatever, and that's one thing we want to try to grow that page, like our page, just so when we post it, we don't have to try to post it in 40 other pages and all that, and get the name out there and all that. So
yeah,
that
Josh and Dan, do you guys run your own practice, or do you guys go somewhere else for practice?
There's a team practice that's ran every Thursday. Um, I don't normally attend that, but there's people, any new people, we just send them there really. But there's no official
Yeah.
VAL practice.
Oh, you've been there the 2 times that I've been there, so I thought that's what you
That was
did.
just that was just for
That's just because I can.
yeah, we'll pull there. That's Team Brutal, and then sometimes we'll pull our houses, with a couple guys or whatever. Um, so
Yeah, and the reason I asked that is because that's probably the easiest way to grow your entries at tournaments is to run a practice and grow the sport around you. That way, the people who train with you, one, they kind of feel obligated to come because they're coming to your place for practice and training, and two, you're getting more people interested in the sport in the surrounding area, growing the sport in general, and so they want to come compete. I think the main problem is, 10 years ago, 180 entries was one of the biggest events in the country. Now it's not. But also you have 5 billion other promoters out there running things every single weekend. So guys don't travel like they used to. Unless you're a high level puller, you're probably not traveling that much. You got a lot of guys who probably would have used to travel a little. Now they don't feel the need to because there's a tournament next month in their backyard. Um, so a lot of the entries that I get are just organic entries from the areas around here. We have, in Kansas City, we have within 3 hours, Nebraska, Omaha and Lincoln. We have Oklahoma, Tulsa area. We have a couple places out in Kansas, southern Missouri, and St. Louis, Missouri, all within 3 or 4 hours. So those are some pretty big hubs that probably have 30 to 50 guys at least each one. So I've built relationships out there. I actually do remote weigh-in hubs with each one of those locations with guys that I know have ran tournaments, I trust. Um, things like that have helped me kind of grow. I'm not getting as many people as I would like from those areas, but a lot of it's because there's a tournament within the next month in their area coming up, so there's not incentivized to travel as much as they used to. But I work at it, and those are some of the things that have also helped me kind of grow my numbers is building those relationships with the surrounding areas and showing my trust in them by doing remote weigh-ins, going to their events, things like that. And even like next year, Nebraska has supported me so much. I'm doing a Nebraska state championship for them next year. So
cool.
that's something they haven't had that I've ever seen a Nebraska state championship. So I'm like, well, there's enough pullers up there. Every state should have a state championship.
Definitely. Well, very cool. So, thank you guys for coming on. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Because I know Dan and Josh you're ready to
Yeah,
be like,
it's about time.
please let us go now. No, but great job, both of you at VAL today. You know, I know Lynchburg Armory was there. It was their first tournament, our first tournament, like as a team, and they did very well. I was very proud. They were giving me a hard time because I was lecturing them in the cat, like, do not embarrass me. and they were like, you're just like a mother hen of the team or whatnot. But no, they had nothing but great things to say. It was a great experience for all of them, and they really enjoyed it. So I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate it. I appreciate us getting to go in the middle. So I had a chance to like amp myself up, but then also a chance to crash a little bit during the amateurs. So ladies, VAL treats us well. I'm gonna make that a shirt. It rhymes. So if you guys are available and willing, November 9th, VAL Chaos. Great American Ranch. Weigh-ins are usually the Friday night before. Well, usually like the Friday day before. You guys were on Friday day.
I compressed it a little bit. That was a long time.
Okay. I was like, you were there for a long time. 3 to 6 the day before, and then usually 9 to 11 or 12.
10 to 12.
10 to 12. On the day of the tournament. So your girl will probably be there at Chaos because I want to qualify for 154s if I make it.
Yep. So it's another Arnold qualifier as well. So
yep.
That was our goal of this doing this and building this relationship with the high five guys is just to have a stepping stone in our area. Just like you were saying, Ryan, like all these tournaments, they're popping up everywhere, you know. And then I was like, well, it'd be a lot more valuable if we were actually a stepping stone to something else, you know, something guys can show up to and have a possibility to get on to something bigger. And so we got locked in like the Carolinas and all that, like so we had dudes we had guys from New York, New Jersey, all the way down to Georgia and Ohio. We had a lot of Ohio guys show up and all that. But Lucky, I was going to tell you, your team has really grown. And I remember when you started the team, and I guess the guys out of Danville kind of married into the Lynchburg team, basically.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool seeing that grow, and so we got you guys out there, and there were dudes from Roanoke that showed up and that want to get connected with y'all as well. And then we got South Brutal, we got North Brutal, we got Arms of Anarchy up in Northern Virginia, and of course Richmond Brutal. And so there's teams popping up all over, teams that's been here for a long time. And then there were there were 2 dudes that were there who'd been in the sport. I guess it's been like 10, 15 years since they've been in the sport, that used to pull with Dave Patton and stuff like that showed up today. A father-son duo, which was really cool too. So
getting all the generations.
Yeah, there was actually a couple handfuls. There was a couple other guys that pulled like 15, 20 years ago that showed up today as well, which was pretty cool. And kind of seeing some old cats come back into it as well, like that, you know.
Definitely.
So pretty neat.
Very cool. Well, great job. I'm very proud of you guys, and I'm proud to be in Virginia for now, till I make it to the bigger, better things.
There you go.
So thanks for being my stepping stone.
Hey, there you go.
All right, Ryan, anything you want to close out with? I usually check and I forgot. What's going to be your next big event that you want to shout out, get us ladies to?
Yeah.
No, I know. It's
finals.
October 26th.
October 26th, BMF finals.
Yes, I did remember.
Yep. No, and check out Hard Knocks on Tuesday. I think you'll probably see me and Travis and Don Underwood on there. You know, they filmed enough of us, so I'm hoping they don't leave that all on the cutting room floor or whatever they say when they don't use the footage they film.
Right.
You know, I was around Game of Arms whenever it was being filmed, and I was in the background for a lot of it and around a lot of the filming, and they don't use a lot of the stuff they film for that type of stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if none of it makes it onto the show, but it'd be pretty cool to see some arm wrestling on an HBO show, so hopefully it makes it.
For sure. For sure. For sure. All right, cool. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Bro, good to
Thank
see
you.
you, Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
Good talking,
Good to
Ryan.
meet you, Ryan.
Yeah, you too.
Sure.
Later,
Bye.
guys.
Adios.
I don't know how to end this.
I'll kick you out. I got you.
All right. Thank you.
No worries.
Have a good one.
You too. No, I don't want to report him. I just wanted to remove him. Chris, you there still, buddy? Think you're.
Yeah, I'm still here. I showed up a little early, obviously. I do apologize.
No, you're fine. You could have just jumped in the conversation. You were fine. So, it is easier if your camera's on though, because it does show up on YouTube. Because your little like picture thingy doesn't show up, and then
Yeah.
it just looks like I'm talking to myself.
Well, let me see here. I'm trying to get it to come back up. There it is. All right.
Yay! How you doing?
Oh, we're doing good. How are you
Good.
today?
I'm good. I'm a little sore. Pulled at a tournament this morning, or well, this afternoon. So, pulled against Madison, number 10 in the nation. So she definitely had a lot to leave on the table. So I was happy to walk away.
How'd you do?
Good. So I got second right place, and then or right place. I got second place right, and then first place left. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So the left is coming along, and so I'm very proud of it. And the right, it's a growing process. Every time I pull right, I feel it like improving, and I'm definitely going in the right trajectory. But I'm ready for it to be where the left is at.
I got you.
Cool. So tell us about Beast Mode. Obviously, been around. It's a huge name. A lot of pullers recognize it. A lot of pullers know it. If you say going to a Beast Mode event, but tell us a little bit about Beast Mode, the promotions, what you guys got planned for the rest of this year and into 2025.
Well, the rest of this year we've got Battle on the Ridge 3. It's going to be held in Corbin, Kentucky, up at Ice House Bar and Restaurant, or Restaurant and Bar, sorry. And then after that one, we've got the Great American Bash coming up at the end of the year, December 7th and 8th.
Awesome. Very cool. And that's going to be that if you all haven't heard, which I don't know how you haven't because it's literally been all over, but it'll be a tournament size. Oh, Travis is joining us. Give me 1 second to add him real quick. But we'll still keep talking about you.
Well, you're fine.
It's going to be like around 32 per each class and double elimination tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be really cool. There is ladies, so ladies sign up because last I heard there wasn't a whole lot of ladies that had signed up. Hi, Travis.
Hey guys, I'm so sorry, young lady. As you can see, I'm in Chicago, absolutely killing it, and this traffic is no joke. So I apologize. Go ahead.
No, you're all good. Chris was just telling us a little bit about Beast Mode, and then we'll talk all about Travis.
Very
So ladies, make sure that you're signing up. So ladies, I know for the guys, they're only pulling one class, but they can pull both arms, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then same for the ladies, I'm assuming?
Yes.
One class and they can pull both arms.
Yes.
Very cool. All right. So ladies, make sure you are signing up. Head to Tennessee. It's beautiful down there in December. There's usually not too much snow on the ground, but there's definitely snow on the mountains tops by then. So we should be okay.
For sure.
Awesome.
And then next year, we've got in April 26th, we're bringing back the ladies for an invitational. You've gotten your invitation already.
Yes, sir.
And that'll be done in Corbin, Kentucky as well.
Awesome.
It's called the State Line Collision. We're going to have a tournament right after the women's invitational there. And then on the 28th of June, we've got something in the works for the 242s. And then in October, on the 18th of 2025, we've got Battle on the Ridge 4. And we've got another big sponsor for that one. But I'll let everybody know the details on the June 28th and the October 18th of next year.
Perfect.
As things go along.
Sounds like a plan. So for the invitation, are you doing 2 weight classes, or are you gonna do?
We're gonna do two. We're gonna do 2 weight classes like we did this year.
Perfect. And 12 and 12.
12 and 12, if I can fill them.
I hear that. I hear that. Very cool. Well, that's awesome. So I'm so excited for that. That'll be super fun. So tell us a little bit about the kind of the idea or support that you would like for us as pullers to help you out as a promoter. So I know, like, you guys do a lot for us. What's something that pullers need to do to help you out?
Just show up, and that's one way of doing it. Share before and after. That would be great. At Beast Mode, we're all about the pullers. We want to give back to the community. It's really all about you guys, because if we didn't have pullers, we wouldn't, Beast Mode wouldn't be around.
Right.
So, it's all about you guys. We want to really give back to you guys, and put you up on a stage. I'm not going to be able to, do it like East versus West or, knuckles up or anything like that. But, I can give back as much as I possibly can. That's the reason I started Beast Mode, is to, give back to the community and all the pullers, but just, sharing our stuff and, following our page and, stuff like that really helps the promoter,
So very cool. And so I know we talked a little bit about what you're doing to grow the sport, and then, like, obviously with the invitational, you're growing the women's side. Anything else specifically you wanted to shout out as far as that goes? I know we talked, and Beast Mode is still doing free women's entries, which is awesome. We very much appreciate that.
We are doing free women's entries, unless we are going to do a payout for the pro classes. The women would have to buy in, do a pay for the entry, to get paid out. Other than that, women pull free at our tournaments unless we're doing a payout.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, very cool. So thank you so much. And anything else? I don't want to cut you off if there was anything else you wanted to say, but I know
There's really not much for me to say.
Yeah, you got anything to say about the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears get ready to square off week 1?
Travis, to be honest with you, bub, I am not a NFL fan. I'm not even a football fan. I love football. Don't get me wrong.
They lost you and Cap put that knee down,
huh? You're correct, sir. You're very correct.
I love
it. Well, very cool. So go ahead.
No, like I said, we're all about the puller. That's about all I can say about Beast Mode. We really want to give back to the sport. Want to get more eyes on the sport. So that's what I designed it around, is to make sure that you guys get the spotlight that y'all deserve as much as possible.
For sure, and we greatly appreciate it. For sure.
Thank you.
How far is Beast Mode from Nashville?
Beast Mode is probably about 2 hours if I really put the hammer down on the truck.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll let you know. We'll talk if we ever play at Tennessee. It's on. I'm going to try to run an arm wrestling tournament, or at least do something every Saturday before the Sunday game. So I will keep Beast Mode in my thoughts if that ever takes place.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Travis.
Nah, no worries. You're the man.
Awesome. That would be so cool.
It would be.
I would drive down for that easy. So, Travis, how are you, sir?
You know what? Super busy. I can't freaking believe you do this thing on Saturday night. I said yes, and then I couldn't believe when I looked at the date. So, but luckily I am in Chicago, so it's an hour earlier, and I'm here. So,
yay! Tell us about Kentucky. How was that? Did you have fun?
what do you mean Kentucky? Kansas City. I was in Kansas City before.
I'm sorry.
It was really fun. We had an arm wrestling tournament on Wednesday night. Don Underwood and me squared off, and the NFL Films was there. So we'll be most likely headlined on Hard Knocks this Tuesday night. So that'll be good for arm wrestling. We'll get some little HBO love.
Awesome.
And then there was like a venue that held about 85 people, and we had 200 people in there. It was crazy. And it was a Wednesday too, a Wednesday night at 7:00. So Tyson's brand and football going to these cities, the arm wrestlers really showing a lot of love. So I couldn't be more appreciative. Nothing's nicer than when people are nice to your kids. So it's good. It's
For
good.
sure.
For sure. Definitely. So, what got you into arm wrestling, Travis? Some of the ladies haven't heard this story.
My father was an arm wrestler in West Virginia, and he had a bunch of nightclubs and bars, and all of them were arm wrestling themed. So at 12, 13 years old, I'm just trying my best to let my mom let me go over there and bar back and hang out and work the pool room. And he had 8 arm wrestling tables, and all the coolest guys that either were bouncers or the best arm wrestlers in the tri-state area, they wanted to be there on the weekends because there were 12 arm wrestling tables, and it was just they could demonstrate their capacity. So for my life, those were the coolest guys at the bar. The guys that could beat everyone in arm wrestling. They were also the bouncers. They were also my dad's buddies. So I thought that arm wrestlers were, the coolest fucking people in the world. So that's what I wanted to do. And I also kind of felt like my dad and I wasn't that tight. So me becoming really good at arm wrestling could help, me and my pops kind of hang out more, which it did too. Like I don't have my dad's last name. And then after I won the national championships, he said, I'm like 22, and he's like, hey, you want to change your name to Boyd? I'm like, no, I'm pretty well Travis Bajan now from high school and everything. So I think I'll stay with it. But I definitely think that wanting to gain his acceptance kind of made me go really crazy at it. And then I think we all learned that if like kids that grow up with arm wrestling are usually pretty good at it, at least early. And then I ended up getting bigger and stronger. And at 13, 14 years old, the only way to beat anybody at the big arm was to triple cap, false start, the whole thing. So I never got out of that. So I just took it. I just got stronger. And then I just started triple capping Dave Randall and John Verzink. So it all worked out.
There you go. So you work with a lot of organizations. Anyone particular you want to, besides obviously yours, do you really feel like you want to shout out as far as like helping grow the sport, promote the sport on the women's side, especially?
First of all, hats off to every promoter because it's a super thankless job. And most of the time you get a lot more complaints than you do thank yous. And it has to do with the fact that we're all super selfish when it comes to competition. And it's really, if you weren't super selfish, you're probably not that good at arm wrestling because it's one of those things that you just take everything and you apologize later, whether you false started or you were high or whatever. So, everybody's been awesome. I will tell you that from me personally, when I was at the East vs. West a month ago, I felt different than I've ever felt before. Not because the stage was bigger. It wasn't because there was more money. It was because organically, everyone was there. And it was just like everyone was in rare form. So Ingen, or as let me choose my words very carefully here, for as passionate as he is, sometimes even mean, right? Because he's really focused on the brand. The dude's done something pretty unreal. Because I mean, I was getting goosebumps in the arena in Orlando, and there was 1,000 people watching, and we had another 300 of them at the press conference, and 20, 30,000 people watching the pay-per-view. So it's really hard to ignore that type of momentum. And I kind of felt like that if I could become like the Joe Rogan announcer guy that the UFC has, in one of these days, this arm wrestling shit's going to be in Madison Square Garden, and we're going to have a lot of people watching. At least that's the way I felt. And I've been around big promotions before. The WAL, they really knew how to do it, right? There's no doubt about it. Because I don't care about how they treat the women. I don't care about how they treat the low man on the totem pole. But there has to be a Super Bowl MVP, NFL. There has to be a platform that makes me proud to be an arm wrestler. So I've been around big promotions, and all I'm selfishly caring about is the money and the prestige that I can personally gain from it, right? So the East versus West, they got some shit going on with them, man. Like, and I'm not telling, I mean, and this is me coming from a jealous standpoint too. Not just a nut swinging, non-hater. It's me saying, yo, bro, I wanted to do that, right? Beast Mode wants to do that. On every promotion, I would imagine, would want to make me feel the way that I felt at the East versus West when I was there. And it's just, and I remember a few days later, Ingen called, and he was like, and I just wanted him to know, I'm like, yo, bro, you killed that. Like, that was special. And he paused for a second, and he said, Travis, anyone that stands in our way now is an enemy of arm wrestling. And I'm like, whoa, I don't know about all that. But I do understand what he's saying is that he is in a position that he's really close, I believe, at, either getting the type of sponsor and I don't even know if he needs a sponsor. I think maybe the business is the business, but I don't know how much creative control he would give away, but he's got something that we should all, even if we're not involved personally, we should enjoy the platform, because it only raises the tide for everybody else to have, things, right? In Beast Mode and the National Arm Wrestling League and Greg Sharp and all these people, they will only benefit once Ingen is in Madison Square Garden. And it doesn't matter who gets there first. As a promoter, you want to be you, right? But if it's not you, you want someone to do it so that we can all, use that, whether it's from a local promotion, whether it's from our podcast, regardless of what it is, we all benefit from arm wrestling being super big.
So I'm gonna ask you a question, and people can get mad at me for asking it, but you'll probably get in trouble for answering.
Don't get mad at me for answering it too, correctly. Honestly.
So
yeah.
being somebody who has obviously really great ties with East versus West, when it comes to the ladies' side of East versus West, what's something that we need to be doing to really? Because 13.
Yeah,
we had three ladies.
I have a very harsh answer for you, dear girl. Are you ready for it?
Go for it.
Until one of you girls has your own league and really pushes it hard, you got to be careful crying about everyone else not pushing it, right? So if I were you, or if I were just a woman arm wrestler, I would look for a leader. I would look for someone that's not just the husband of one of the competitors, but you, and when I say you, I'm just talking about the female.
No, I got
one
you.
of you need to be the boss
Gotcha.
of your league, and you need to only care about selfishly your league and your girls. And honestly, whenever a new guy, a new promoter, a new money guy comes around me, right? First of all, I get really excited, right? Like, let's do it, right? Because when you're a successful business guy, you get exposure to our sport. And the first thing that pops in your head is like, yo, I could make this bigger. And a lot of times the money helps, right? There's no doubt about it. But when I'm talking to those money people, right away they say we should give away $1 million to the champion. And I'm like, that's the approach. That's one approach. And then about not too long after that, they say, man, I'd really like to see the ladies arm wrestle each other. So I know there's an interest there. There is no doubt about it. It's just guys are selfish too, right? They want the 165 class to be the most important class if they weigh 165. If they weigh 171, they hate the 65 class. And they don't know why anybody has it, right? So I think that where it begins for any of us is to selfishly think about you and yours, and listen, everyone who gives arm wrestling charity money to the women, that's not one-on-one, right? I just mean we're having a weight class, right? And if we don't treat you the same as we treat the guys, it feels bad to us too, right? However, we know 100% that there will not be the same turnout for the guys and the girls. So I have always chose to respect you more by not having any event with the girls rather than telling you it's $10,000 for that guy to win, but for you girls, you get a sucker. And even the amazing thing of letting the girls arm wrestle for free in the entry fee can also somewhat be disrespectful towards you guys. It's like, yo, bro, don't treat me different. I don't want to be treated different. And I get it, right? So we would never have 105 pound weight class for the guys. And the reason we wouldn't is because we don't think we have enough 105 pound pullers to fill out the class to make it worth giving the prizes. Right. And the same happens for the girls. So if I was a woman, I would have my own league and I would focus on my super matches for my girls. And then every once in a while, I would throw the guys a bone and let them participate for free. I would throw it right back at them. So that's, and then until one of you decide to do that, you're always going to have some guys that are like, I ain't fucking with women's arm wrestling. They don't show up or whatever the case is. So it's a tough gig, you know what I mean? But I've always been one of those guys that's like, listen, if I'm not going to treat you exactly like us, then I'm not going to treat you at all. And I'm not going to disrespect you by making you special. Rather than I think that it comes usually from the kindness of the promoter's heart. But in my opinion, like, I don't think you need his kindness, right? You need to get off your ass and have your own event and have your ladies. And then the event, if it's cool, then it will only produce more finances, more money, more opportunities for more women's arm wrestling. So if I was a chick, I'd be running chick tournaments all the time. That's all I'm saying.
Works for me. Yeah, I got one in October. Make sure you tune in. Same channel.
Is it? I got on a Saturday night. Is it Saturday night, 10 o'clock, or what time to start?
So it'll be 8 Eastern. So it's called On the Rise, and it's a virtual super match event. So each individual set is gonna zoom in their super match, and we're gonna promote it on the channel. So
now whose idea was that?
Jody Williams and I came up with it.
All right. Well, I always thought Jody was a little slow, but now I'm starting to maybe think he's not. Because that's a pretty good idea. I might steal that idea for you. I got a meeting tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, don't take it. I'm trying to make it bigger.
Even though that's happened to me a million times, I will not take that.
No, if you can make it bigger and better, as long as my name's attached to it, it's all good.
Let's go. Let's go.
Like you said, selfishly, my name should be attached.
Hey, listen, that's most things get done with a little bit of selfish intent at the beginning. So, and then the older you get, you realize that probably should try to be as least selfish as you possibly can be in most things in life. But getting women's arm wrestling started, it might require a little bit of selfish behavior at the start.
Definitely, I would agree with that. So, how can, aside from just like obviously showing up, what do you said creating the league? What's some other things that pullers, new pullers, women pullers, pro pullers, whoever can really do to help promotions? Do you feel
Yeah, well, the truth is their availability is their most important ability, right? So how available are you? You're one of three people, right? You're either a fan, you're a puller, or you're an investor, right? So we just need to point out what person are you, right? And then attack them, in that manner. So, and then new pullers, right? I think that I believe the Supermatch format has produced a bunch of lazy ass new pullers that are waiting every 7 months to have one Supermatch with their buddy in the backyard, when really arm wrestling is set up for you to pull a tournament every other week. That's how you gain your experience. And then after you have tons of it and you have all these wins and you're not scared of losing, right? Because really, let's put it out there, the new guys, they protect their wins and losses like crazy.
They do. Very much so.
And listen, and you'll go into a town and you'll meet two guys and they live 2 miles from each other. And you're like, hey, what happens when you guys pull? Well, we never pulled each other. That's because they don't care if someone in California might be better than them, but they'll be damned if the Johnny down the street that works at 7-Eleven is better than them. So new arm wrestlers, I think, important for new arm wrestlers to get around the correct veteran, right? And that veteran can be one of those guys that's always bashing every tournament and every league but his, right? And then has this amateur and new arm wrestler thinking about pulling some super match. And it's like, hell, no, bro. Look on the internet. There are a tournament every weekend. You want to know what true anxiety is? Buy a plane ticket and go somewhere where you have no idea who's going to be in your class. And listen, sign your name up.
Those are the best ones to go to, though, is the ones that you don't know who's going to be in the class because you've never pulled them. So you're not intimidated by no means whatsoever.
Yeah, I listen, and it doesn't matter if you think it's smart or not. The truth is you can't get enough experience if you are pulling one-on-one. Let's say you're a super active guy and you pull 6 times a year one-on-one. That would probably put you in the top 5 percentile of human beings that pull that many super matches in 1 year. But the truth is there were times when I pulled 37 tournaments in 1 year. So that's where I done. Now the climate was different then, right? But I'm just letting new people know that the anxiety of signing up when you don't know who's in the class, participating knowing that you are going to lose as well, and getting over that, no one cares 5 minutes after you lose. Listen, me and Corey West just pulled. I couldn't even slow him down. I got home, 4 people said, you'll get him next time. You should pull him next week. I'm like, next week might be a little quick there, buddy. But the truth is no one cares. No one cares. And the less you pull, the more you think that those wins and losses matter. And it just eats you up in your brain. And then you become this really fucking weird person that never really competes. He's always around. And every time you talk to him, he's got a super match in 5 months somewhere against a guy you don't know. And you're like, yo, bro. And you don't know what to say to him because he's He's convinced
And
that
if you remember to ask them about it in 5 months, it got canceled.
Of course. Yeah, it couldn't work out. Yeah. I had the tough man flu that weekend, so it didn't work out. So I feel like if the guys that you train with don't pull in a bunch of tournaments, you can justify telling them that they don't have to either and that they can pull a super match. But listen, there's not enough super matches for a new guy to gain thousands of matches. The way to do it is you go to the tournament and you don't even pull the champ. You get beat by the guy that finished 4th and 7th, right? And then the next time you come, you get you a good bracket and you end up undefeated in the winner's bracket before you take your 2 losses, right? Now you finish 3rd. And then there's that magic day where the champ beats you, but you stopped his ass at 10 o'clock. And now your confidence starts growing. Now, that thing can happen in 2 months, all of that, or you can make it in 4 years because you decided to do just individual super matches. And listen, if you come to my tournament and don't spend $1, tell everybody how great you are and how great your super match is planned up for 2 months from now, and then you also complain about the ref in that day in the corner, and all you talk about is the big bad super match you have at the YMCA 2 months later. Are you really doing the promoter that big of a favor, my man? I don't know. Maybe you should go back and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to bring my whole team. We're all going to pay entry fees, and we're going to support. And knowing that all of us are going to lose except one guy in the class. And we're okay with that. If you want to help me as a promoter or help Beast Mode, that's maybe a little better approach for you. Or at least I can't tell you how many guys come to my tournaments and don't arm wrestle, and then think I'm not going to say a slick comment to them like, "What are you, a pussy or something? What the fuck's wrong with you?" And then for them to tell me they have a super match 6 months from then, it just solidifies to me that I hate that guy. Yeah, I hate that guy.
Okay, so that's you, Travis hates you. That's what we can.
If you're that guy, I hate.
Hey, a second shirt idea for tonight. I already have one shirt idea. That's my next shirt idea. If you're that guy, I hate you.
Yeah, if you're that guy, I hate you. Hey, that's such a broad. That could cover anything you want to.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, gentlemen, I very, very much appreciate your time. Is there anything else? I don't want to cut you off. If there's anything else that you wanted to shout out, promote, make people get excited for?
Not at all. Thank you for having me. If you ever need me, please do not call me on a Saturday night again. But any other time, I am in, young lady. Good luck in all your endeavors. And,
Thank you.
I've always been a fan of women's arm wrestling. So I do like to joke about not treating them different. But the truth is that no guy is wishing you bad luck, right? Just know that you're going to have to do most of the heavy lifting if you're worried about your sport. That's just the way it is. So, and this is a great place to start, is having people talk about it and you being the culprit. So good luck in all you do. And, I don't know if I can help you too much, but whatever it is, you let me know.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
No worries. You guys be good. I'll see you in Tennessee one day, young man.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
You're the man. Be good. Be careful, guys.
Take it easy.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Talk to you later, Chris.
Bye.
Let's see.
Oh.
Hey, how are
How are you? I'm good.
Oh, look at you, pro gear. Doing all the big things down in Florida, taking over.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you. Just all the we'll talk about it, but
yes.
this is gonna be great. It's great moves.
I'm excited. I'm super excited. Yeah, I can't wait to get things rolling.
Very cool. What's the big thing that you're looking forward to? If you can share it.
In general, you mean just like what's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, or specific?
Or a specific secret that you haven't dropped yet that would be great for the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is really I'm sure every promoter wants this, but I want to change the sport. I really want to bring something that others, that others haven't. I'm definitely not motivated by money. I don't think most promoters are, to be honest with you. We all say there's not a lot of money in the sport. We do it for passion. But yeah, I'm excited to bring a really high caliber event.
Very
What
cool.
up?
What up, buddy?
I feel like all I've seen you got is the two of you this week.
I know. We're like twinsies lately.
We're on fucking too many podcasts.
Yeah, at this point, we're in like a hour 3 mark. So Ryan, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a pass if you wanna. And Travis totally ruined my no cursing rule, anyways. I can't really have it. I can't have it for you guys now because Travis done broke it. Be like, all right, guys, go back to no cursing. So, but yeah, no, I changing the sport. I think that's a fun way to do it. Travis done broke. All right. Oh, that wasn't me. Yeah, that was one of y'all. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. Tired after last night's like 15-hour podcast.
I haven't even looked at the thing to know how long I have, because I watch you guys while I'm doing cardio, and so usually, because it's usually 5 to 6 hours, I usually do like an hour, and I just pace myself through it, because it's very distracting from the misery of my cardio. Were you on for the whole time, Mikey, last night?
No, I did like 8:30 to like maybe just past midnight.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, Ryan was saying they went on till like 5 a.m.
Dude, I fell asleep on the podcast like 4 times where I was just like out.
Ryan, you should only tell people when you don't fall asleep on the podcast.
I know,
It's
so exciting that a lot of people came on though. There was like a good list of people that came to check it out last night. So that was pretty cool.
I was getting ready for the VAL tournament. So
yeah, congrats by the way. You did awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice. After right hand, I was like, left. You gotta come through for me, because it's okay to say, "Hey guys, I came in second," but it's not fun to be like, "Hey guys, I came in second. There was 2 in my class."
Yeah. But so you're qualified then for both arms. That's awesome. Congrats, man. That's so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Ohio. I keep wanting to say October, but I get the O words mixed up.
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited for Ohio. Hanging out with the High Five guys at the Arnold's. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Will and Chris are awesome. Have you ever been to the Arnold's before?
No. So I am like new to the sport. Like my first tournament was in November of last year, and I literally just started pulling in July of last year. So I just had my 1-year anniversary.
Oh, cool.
And so I did some strength stuff, but never at a level where I was going to like bodybuilding shows or powerlifting shows or anything. I just basically did it in like a local gym in college. And so then I fell out of the health scene for a long time, and now I'm back in it.
Yeah, can we talk about your transformation too? Like you are killing it in and out of the sport.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have loved being on carnivore. Actually, that's a lie. I have loved the results of being on carnivore. I hate being on carnivore. Do not try it if you like anything. If you like to eat anything other than.
So, like, how carnivore are you? Like, do you eat sticks of butter the whole 9?
I don't eat sticks of butter, but I do like little chunks like this and snack on them. But yes, no, I'm very, very carnivore. So I will say that I guess I'm it's not really cheating because I keep my carbs under 20 grams. Perfect. So I just found a keto-friendly bread from Aldi that only has 10 grams and 0 sugar. And so and it tastes delicious. So I'm like, okay, I'm pacing myself to do 2 to 3 slices a week. And so that I really just stay in that ketosis state. But before I found that, there was literally no bread, no sweets, no nothing.
Wow. So how long have you been doing carnivore now?
So I started on February 17th, was kind of like my start date. I fell out of ketosis the last week of February, and so then I hit it again the second week of March.
Okay.
So from March until now, down 60 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing.
23% body fat.
Yeah. So outside of weight loss, do you notice any other benefits? Do you have more energy or?
Yeah. The big thing that I've been waiting for to kick in is the sleep. Because my sleep is still a little bit off, but I'm getting like, rather than getting like 2 hours and waking up for 2, I'm getting like 5 hours and waking up for like 30 minutes. So that's been that's been really good for me. Everything's like kind of regular. My A1C was only 4.4. My cholesterol went down over 100 points. Like it's been great.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
So yeah, so definitely recommend, but also find what works for you, you know, because I had people who would recommend this, recommend that. And I'll be honest, I've started this weight loss thing like 4 times in my adult life and always fallen off the wagon because I was doing what worked for other people and what didn't work for me. And so now that I've found what works for me and something that I can stick with it, I have an awesome trainer who's doing it as well. So I'm using him as like, okay, he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So Mike's been great with it. So
that's awesome.
Been able to stay on the wagon and stay consistent.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So Ryan, what you got going on in the world of arm wrestling?
Well, we got some big things going on. Me and Mikey got a podcast series we're starting that's called What's Next for You. I mean, all year round, I'm always planning Winter Blast. So that's always going on in the background because it's such a big thing. So we got our Arnold's coming up September 7th. So a lot, we got 3 or 4 more tournaments to round out the year, and then we focus on Winter Blast. So that's what we got so far.
And remind me, September 7th is where?
That's up here near Philly. It's at the Broken Goblet. I think it's in Trevose.
Okay.
Should be cool. Cool venue. I'm actually going to go check it out this week in person. But from the pictures, it looks amazing. Nice. So we're gonna see how it goes. It should be good.
Nice.
I was trying to pick good venues, Been to too many tournaments that were in like a shitty dive bar or something. I'm like, man, this tournament would have been badass if it was like didn't smell like mold,
And Mikey, you have your Arnold's qualifier in September as well in Elkhart, Indiana.
Correct. Yeah, I have one in Elkhart, Indiana. That's September 28th. So like northern Indiana, right on the border.
Is your Puerto Rico one also Arnold's?
That's not a qualifier, but yes, I have Puerto Rico next weekend. And then I have another qualifier October 5th. And that one's the one that's near and dear to me. That's at my gym, a Pro Gear gym here in Brooksville, Florida.
Very cool. That's awesome. So, and that one's, I'm assuming, open. Everybody can come.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
So if you're down there near, make sure you check it out. We'll share it to the Lucky Ones podcast page for sure, so they can swing by, and we'll share Ryan's too, I guess.
You don't have to. I will.
Fair enough.
I share everybody's stuff, so.
You do. It's, most of my feed is Ryan Grondin.
Sorry about that.
So Lucky, now that you're qualified, does that mean I'm not going to see you at Indiana?
No, it doesn't. I actually got a text from my little sister who lives in Indiana. Please tell me you're coming. Dad said that you might. I was like, yes. Dang it.
Yeah, you got to listen to your little sister.
I was just like, so
just change your name slightly and qualify twice.
Ooh.
Right. But that's the thing is, so I qualify for 155 plus, which is great. And then we're not going to talk about weight classes because I will go on a tangent about weight classes. So we're not going to talk about it. But March, my plan is not to be that class anymore.
Ooh, wow.
And so with the Arnolds, they're very particular, which is fine. And I get why there's this rule, but especially for women, we're not allowed to pull down. So if I want to be 154 and pull 154s at the Arnold's, then I need to hurry up. And then the last one that's available is in 70 days, almost 69 days now, in November. So nice. I'd have to lose the rest of this in about 69 days to be able to qualify for 154.
Is that the goal? Are you going to try to lose that?
Yes, but I'm also not going to stress about it. Sure. So I'd be happy, and I think I would be more excited, not more excited, but definitely like more comfortable going to the Arnold's at the weight that I'm going to be, and the strength that I'm going to be against the women that I, kind of want to pull against. But at the same time, I'm really going to the Arnold's just to push the women's numbers, to encourage like other ladies to show up. Placement is not a thing for me. And so if I'm pulling up at 154, I mean, that's kind of cool. It's kind of badass.
Yeah.
That's great.
So we will see what happens. If I get within reach, then I will keep working towards it. But if I don't, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It's kind of how I feel about it. Move forward. Plus, it'd be nice to be that I'm doing Lorraine's Great American, the Bespos, Lorraine's, Curses, all theirs Great American Bash in December, and was
December
sponsored.
7th.
Yep, December 7th and 8th.
I'm pulling that as well.
Are you really? Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I'll be excited to see you. But yeah, so actually somebody to encourage me on this sponsored me for 154s. Nice. So cool. It'd be nice to pull 154s before I actually have to pull 154s.
And look at you 1 year into the sport, picking up sponsors already, qualifying for Arnold's.
Yeah, it's been a great year. And I think that's what I love about arm wrestling as a whole, is just like when you look for the opportunities will be there.
Absolutely.
And, promoters like yourself and, Brian with doing the paid, even amateur for women's classes at Winter Blast, when you look for it, it's there. And so sometimes I hear women complaining about X and Y and Z, and I'm just like, are you asking or looking or trying to find things? Because I just asked one person and it was there. So, but that's my experience. It's not everybody's experience. I get that. Hence the name, I've been very lucky in this sport.
How did you get your name Lucky?
It actually, so what it's dumb, but when I first started camp at Camp St. Charles or whatever, there was like several almost near-death experiences that I had while I was away at camp, and our camp director fortunately never found out about them because I probably would have gotten in trouble. And two, nothing bad happened. So they're like, oh man, you're so lucky. And so it just kind of caught on. Then it became my TikTok name. And then everybody started just calling me Lucky. And so then when I started arm wrestling, I did not want to use my real full name. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna go with Lucky. And so it's been fun. I've actually loved going by it. So cool. I think it's awesome. It's become a very special name to me. But yeah, so cool. Oops, my question list went away, so I won't go by the script anymore. Mikey, what got you into arm wrestling?
Hey, that's part of the script.
Don't answer, Mike. Don't answer.
Well, it's funny you ask, because this is a women's podcast, and my honest answer is actually women's arm wrestling. I wanted to impress a girl. Yeah. So obviously I got married to Sarah Backman, which obviously pulled me into the sport. For the first 3 years, I was just, I guess, a glorified purse holder, you could say. I just supported the shit out of her and everything she did. And then probably end of last year, I started to get more interested in competing. I purchased into the Florida Arm Wrestling League, started promoting. And then January this year, I really started going full force into competing. And my promotion side obviously has grown a lot too. And at this point now, I love this sport. I love the community. I love promoting it. I love competing in it. I love being on podcasts with people like you. I love all of it.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Ryan, what made, besides the video that we've all seen 1,000 times that we love,
the rubber bands,
the rubber bands, was there anything else that got you into arm wrestling?
Just, my age group, Over the Top was like a great movie when I was younger, and everyone arm wrestled at the lunch tables at school. So I just always loved arm wrestling. And then later in life, a buddy of mine was like, dude, I'm on an arm wrestling team. Like, I'm originally from New Hampshire. So this kid was on Badger Drew's team up in New Hampshire. And he's like, dude, you got to arm wrestle like we used to when we were younger and stuff. And I was like, no, dude. And then he was like, there's a team right there in Philly where I moved. So I reached out and stuff, and I ended up linking up with like Dave Shell and a couple other people. And they were like, dude, you got to come to practice. And I went to one practice and I was just hooked, dude. Everybody was so cool, friendly, welcoming. And I just was like, this is awesome. And that's it. I just kept going to practice.
Very cool.
So
Very cool.
that's pretty much how I got into it.
Nice. Then you saw the dark side of promoting.
Oh, I mean, that happened just kind of, I don't even know how that happened, because the whole 98 thing started kind of like organically. So it just blew up. And then we were like, we should throw a tournament because we have a 98 community. And then
Right.
From there, just every tournament just got bigger and bigger. And then I hooked up with Sue Fisher, a very popular female arm wrestler. And she wanted to bring back Winter Blast, and we brought it back. And dude, it just blasted off. We're like, this is
Tell
awesome.
her to check her message request so she can come on the daggone show.
I did tell her. I said, you got to go on the show. She was very nervous she was like, I'll go on if you come on with me. And I'm like, yeah, but it's about you. You got to get on there. Like, everyone needs to know the story of Winter Blast. Like, so she's very nervous.
We do.
So let's hope she'll come on.
Maybe when we get a little closer, we can just really push her into it.
Because Jody invited her too, and she's like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Jody's scary.
Yeah.
Lucky's not scary. Just kidding. We love you, Jody. Especially if you pop in today. Excuse me. I'm sorry. So anything else you want to talk about as far as 98 and Pro Gear and this collaboration of this new podcast? Do y'all have a first guest that you had yet?
We don't have one locked in yet. We have a lot of names on the list.
Yeah.
We've not really locked one in yet. I mean, unless, I don't know, Ryan, you want to count Lorray as our first guest?
that was kind of like, that was a good test because it was just me and Mikey interviewing someone.
Right.
But we didn't really plan on that being our first episode of the actual show. We really thought about the idea like the day before, and Lorray was already booked. And then I was like, Mikey, why don't you come on and we'll just do it as if it is the new one. So it was like a good test run.
Right.
To test it out. And I thought it went really good. So
he's the test naked bull rat. Okay.
Yep.
And then all right. Well, who's a dream guest that you both would like to have on? That you're like,
dream guest. Are we giving out our secrets already?
Hey, as long as it's not a female, I won't steal it.
Ooh, what if it is a female?
Then I probably already have her because I'm badass like that.
That's true. You are probably.
Or at least already asked her. No, not giving it away.
I don't know about a dream guest, but I don't know, because I like everyone. Like, so it's like, like even like the guys that are just coming up, like shining a light on them, to me, that's as equal as having like a top level guy on. I think they're as important to the sport, to grow it. There's a place for both of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, just as somebody who had that vision for the female side of it, like, I'm super excited. I'll be tuning in every week to y'all's, but I think that's been like the most beneficial thing for this show is like, if you go back, like we've had Fia, we've had Gabby, we've had Nancy Nations on, but then like also some of our most powerful and touching podcasts were, you know, the number ones from, you know, Podunk, Ohio, or, you know, some deep, dark, secret garage, you know, down in Utah or whatever. And so showcasing all those ladies at all those different levels has definitely just made the show super special. And so I hope that for the best for you guys with that too, as you look at the different levels and pull out different guys. Because I mean, you never know what's going to change somebody's trajectory too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think my dream guest on me and Mikey's thing would be probably Engin.
I was thinking he was going to say
it. I'll second that. That would be a dream guest.
I thought y'all were going to say Devin for real.
Cool. I promised I would behave.
You did, and I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
It's almost midnight, and you haven't turned into a pumpkin yet.
I'm still tired from last night. Jesus.
Keep it up, Cinderella. Keep it up.
Oh God, it's too much.
So, what are some cool teams or leagues or organizations that you guys been able to work with that you would want to shout out, want to work out with again, would point people in their direction?
Well, for me, it's Mikey here.
I was going to say 98. That's my answer.
The bromance is real, guys. The bromance is real.
We're on the same wavelength with a lot of topics, so we've hit it off, and that's why we want to do some things together. Both of us are in it to, like, we're not in it to make money. We're in to put the money back into the sport to make the next event better. Plus, both of us working with Knuckles Up.
Yeah.
Sean Hancock.
Yeah.
You know, so many great people out there that we're working with. So, you know, it's cool. It's cool to network like that as a promoter. Like networking with like-minded people is like clutch. You know, Arm Gods, like all these guys are just amazing to work with. So, you know, Mikey and me just hit it off when I went down to Florida, and we had such a great time. And we didn't even really get to talk that much because he was running the tournament. Just like, you know, at my tournaments, I don't get to really talk to anybody. So, but we've been talking a lot, you know, online and stuff like that. So we decided to go for our own little podcast. We'll see what happens.
Hopefully, you know, more of the 8:30, 9 o'clock 98 podcast will happen more than the 1 a.m.
Well, the FTG one is kind of its own thing. The one me and Mikey do is going to be like just an interview series. So it's not probably never going to get crazy or have the same weirdos on it that we have on the 98 Friday Night Live one.
Yeah, you can say that again.
We're trying to calm that one down slowly.
Mikey's like, it will be, or else.
Yeah.
Like, there are times where I got to remind myself I'm on camera as I'm seeing these characters unfold, because I know I'm making the most ridiculous faces. Like, that's not real. That didn't just happen.
Right.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When your face has subtitles, it's not great for camera.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that might help with that. So me and Paul are starting Paul Italia are starting a non-arm wrestling podcast.
Oh,
that's
Lord.
Just going to be like a shit show of stuff. So, I mean, it'll be loosely related because we're still going to have a lot of, like, Mikey's probably going to come on, some other guys, like, just as
Mikey, stay away. Stay as far away.
Mikey's like, what are you talking about? He might change his name for that podcast. I don't know. Wear a wig.
Yeah, we just see like a turtleneck and sunglasses. Right. Never know it's him.
Like, that's Steve. There we go. But yeah, we're going to do a non-arm wrestling podcast. And the point of that is, if you look at a lot of like the podcasts that are going on, like the regular ones anyway, none of us have like 1 million followers. So, and that's because it's only going to the arm wrestling community. where a non-arm wrestling podcast is going to really broaden the crowd we could attract to it. And we're going to use whatever money that podcast makes to throw it into arm wrestling. So it's a non-arm wrestling podcast, but it's to raise funds for arm wrestling. So that's what that's going to be our goal. We'll see. It's going to be called Unfiltered Vibes. So we'll see how unfiltered it gets. I mean, we might be kicked off in the first episode. We'll see.
I imagine this turning out a little bit like Artem's channel, RIP.
I don't know. Maybe.
Best of luck. I don't know if I'll tune in. I'm definitely not guest starring, but best of luck to you.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of different.
I like the idea. I think I heard you talking about it with Lorraine when Lorraine was on your show. And I think it's a smart idea as far as catering to people what they're willing to put their investment in, because people are 100% willing to sit and watch 2 hours of absolute ridiculousness more than they're willing to sit and watch 2 hours of
that's what we found. Like with the Friday Night Live one, that's what we found is like when it's ridiculous and there's like weird characters on there arguing, we get a ton of super chats, like the numbers are up. And then when we try to make that night more serious, nothing.
Right.
So it's like one of those things where let's just split off FTG Friday night can stay the same. We'll just we're going to make it a little more serious, but we're going to let it kind of be a little crazy and have some characters now and then. But then me and Mikey's thing is going to be more serious and interviews and really try to get like people always ask the same questions to some of the pros. We're going to try to do a little twist on that and really switch it up so it's different than the normal, interview, basically.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens with that.
I love that. So I didn't ask the other promoters this, but I figure we got time to kill. Why not? Unless y'all are hurt. Unless y'all are rushing to get off. Except I know you're
ask away.
Mikey's addicted to podcasts now.
I love it.
Well, cool. So something I asked the ladies that I really like. Where do you see arm wrestling going in the next 5 to 10 years? And we call that question to Jessie because Jessie Androvic came up with it one day, and I was like, "Ooh, I love that question. I'm stealing it." She's like,
I love Jessie. Though. Jessie's great. Yeah. I go to her practice up here. They just moved, her and her husband, but they come from Predator in Allentown. So
yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Dave Shell's practice.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know that that's where they went. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Aw. Hi, Jessie. She's about to love me now.
Yeah.
See, I always pictured her being like way far away. So
yeah. Well, I know they just moved like beginning of the year. So
yeah.
But they're from up there, and so I see her and her husband at practice all the time. But she's good. She's a beast, dude. Watch out for her, man.
Yeah, no, I got to witness her amazingness at the 154s Invitational.
Yeah. Well, it helps that her dad's like a world champ from old school world champion Mike Ondervik. So yeah.
I always get so jealous of the ladies.
Question.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years. Whew, that's a long ways away. I would even say within the next year.
Sure.
The way things are going, arm wrestling is becoming so mainstream. When you got guys like Devin bringing in outsiders, non-arm wrestlers. When Devin came to visit us, I think it was a week or two ago, I was in awe how many regular people knew who Devin was. Just being out at CC's or out on the river with him, and people were just coming up taking pictures. Can I get a picture with you? And I know all the arm wrestlers in this area. These were regular people that knew who Devin was. And I think the more people we get like that in the sport, the more it's going to continue to grow. And it is absolutely becoming more and more mainstream.
Yeah. The funny thing is when Devin came here to High Five, had a seminar with him, there were groups of people in there, and I'm a talker. So I'm walking up and I'm like, "Hey, what team are you guys on? You arm wrestle?" And they're like, "No, we don't arm wrestle. We just want his autograph." I'm like, what the fuck
Wild.
is going on here? Like
Yeah.
hordes of regular people just coming to get his autograph.
Like
I was like,
famous arm wrestler is a
yeah.
thing now. Like
I
it's
was like,
an
yo, you
actual
guys
thing.
got to get on the table. Like, I'm trying to make them arm wrestle. Like, no, you're not getting his autograph unless you arm wrestle. Come on.
That's cool.
So I asked Travis this when he was on, and I think Mikey, you had popped on, so I'm not sure if you heard him or not. But
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
I've been
ask
watching
you-
since 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay, cool.
Me too.
And so I have to ask you guys. So Travis isn't the only one answering. Travis isn't the only one getting slack for it, but I should get all the slack because Lucky's the one asking the question. Has promoters, what do you see as far as female arm wrestling that we can do as other females, or that females in general can do for themselves to really help just help promote themselves and get us out
I can
there?
tell you, as soon as Travis started talking about an ambassador, I looked right over at my wife and signaled to her. And seconds later, Ryan texted me and was like, Sarah. And I'm like, yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I think she would be the perfect candidate to be an ambassador for women's arm wrestling. As far as the women's arm wrestling league, Sarah said that I guess Heidi over in Sweden tried to do that and struggled. So I don't know how beneficial that would be here. But I'm all ears, man. Anybody who's got suggestions, Sarah's at their disposal. I mean, I know she would love to see women's arm wrestling grow in this country.
No, I actually wrote that down. I have my little iPad on my notes thing, and so spoiler alert, Sarah's coming on next week, so make sure you tune in for that. I was like, will you start our league, please?
Yeah.
We'll have her on our show, but Mikey can't ask her any questions because he already knows all the answers.
I'll give you the list of questions.
Sometimes somebody who knows the answer should ask the question because then they'll get the truth.
Good point.
I'll just start every question off with Mikey says.
Please
Mikey says that you train 5 times a week. Is that true?
7.
Well,
7 times a week.
We're gonna have to get a cutout of Mikey because his face has subtitles. So when she starts like going off the tangent, he's like, "What?"
Wait till you guys see the cutouts we're gonna have at Winter Blast.
I mean, I'll be there in person. Otherwise, I'd ask for a cutout of myself too.
Just bring your own cutout.
I would like a cutout, please. I'm going to be there, and I'm just going to carry her around.
There you go. One thing I did want to touch on about the women's arm wrestling, and me and Mikey touched on it with Lorraine the other night. So, like up here, and I've noticed just from paying attention to other tournaments, a lot of tournaments have like 0 to 160 and then 161 plus or something or whatever.
Right.
So none of the 130-pound girls want to come out and pull someone that's 160. So unless you have more, and it sucks as a promoter because when you do more weight classes and they still don't show up and you're eating that cost of a lot of trophies, it gets discouraging. But if you're persistent and you're consistent with continuing to have more weight classes, like Winter Blast, the first couple of years, we had 6 weight classes for women. And, we didn't have that many people show up. But then the third year, boom, people caught on like, oh, they got weight classes for everyone. And then more weight classes of women came out. You just have to stick with it. And I know that's tough to swallow as a promoter because you are going to eat a lot of trophies, which is why we started doing like trophies that can be modified for another tournament. You know what I mean? Like, you get a trophy that says like 98 on the front, but then you put on the back what it was for. So that way you can use that trophy for like multiple events and you're not eating the cost on all those trophies all the time. At least that's what we do for some of our smaller ones. But I think you increase the weight classes, more women will come out. Because like I said, like a guy that is 154, say, doesn't want to pull a 200-pounder. So why? So we have all these weight classes for the guys and then 2 for the girls. So that little change right there will get the girls to come out. And, like the last event we had, all the waitresses jumped in, dude, and everyone went wild because they're non-arm wrestlers and they jumped into the tournament. So And the only reason they did is there were weight classes for them, so
Right.
I think that's a huge thing. Just you have to cater to everyone. If you don't cater to everyone, I mean, like I said, the guys wouldn't want to have to pull up fucking someone 50 pounds heavier than them. So the girls definitely don't want to,
For real.
it does make a difference, so
Right.
that's just my opinion on it. And it's been working for us, especially with Winter Blast. Plus we put money on just the women's, which brought a huge turnout of women last year. So I think it'll have the same effect this year. But yeah, and also having the same trophies for the pro women and pro men. Like I see a lot of tournaments where the pro men get something awesome and the women get like something not so awesome. And I'm like,
the Dollar Tree with the American
yeah.
flag.
And you're just like, I mean, no wonder they're not coming out. You know what I mean? So that's something. And luckily, my partner at Winter Blast is Sue Fisher, a female arm wrestler. So I get her point of view a lot, which gives me good ideas because
Thank you, Sue.
yeah, like, I mean, that all comes from Sue. She's like, I'm not pulling some fucking 180-pound person when I'm fucking 130, so it started to click to me like, hey, I wouldn't want to either. So,
right.
Not that I have that problem, but I guess I got to start doing your diet. It seems to be working for you.
Hey,
I put butter on my ice cream.
There you go.
Perfect. You're halfway there.
Yeah. Just get rid of the ice cream.
Cut out the ice cream. But yeah, so that's my take on that part. I think that would help grow women's arm wrestling. And also, you got to get out there. Like, a lot of promoters won't do shit unless it makes them money. Like, go set up a table in front of a women's only gym with some women arm wrestlers. Shit like that. Like, you got to get out in there, out in the public and let people see it. They don't see it. They don't think about it. Like, what non-arm wrestler female that doesn't arm wrestle is flipping through looking for fucking arm wrestling videos on YouTube? None of them. But if you put a fucking table in front of their gym and they're coming out and they see females arm wrestling and they're calling them over, like, come try it. That's how you get more women. But everyone has to do, like, we should all be doing stuff like that, even to get men in, like we got to start recruiting or it's never going to go mainstream. Like, we need a bigger following. Our following right now is just arm wrestlers. That's the problem. We need to get non-arm wrestlers to follow it.
Right.
And that's something me and Mikey have been talking about behind the scenes. Like, how do we do that?
Right.
So.
No, I love it. That's a good idea. I will say though, I worked with a very popular. I think they're up to 5. I think they just opened their 500 or 600 gym that they specialize to women, and they have 4 within like 3 or 4 hours of me. And they put on their page because I worked with my team captain of like, hey, let's go set up a table and just do like, because they do special event Saturdays. So they have powerlifters, they have bodybuilders, they had some doctors, some yoga or whatever. And I was like, let's see if we can get like, sorry. There was one in the 4 gyms, and each gym has over 100 members. There was one that signed up at each one, so they were like, "Sorry, you can't come." And I was like, "Damn it!"
One thing I've been experimenting with over the last couple of months is, and it sounds weird, but I put an ad on Craigslist saying, "Hey, do you want to arm wrestle?" Just basically something like that. I got 6 calls this month of people that want to arm wrestle, and I referred them to the nearest practice to where they live, and 4 of them are coming to our next tournament.
Wow.
So that's something that maybe promoters could do in their areas. And just, I mean, it was a simple, just in the, like, not even like the paid ads or whatever, just like the free section, they have all kinds of different topics. And I just put it out there, like, is anyone interested in arm wrestling? And then in the description, I wrote like a little thing, like, there's teams here and there, blah, blah, blah. Just made it sound good. And I got 6 phone calls, 6 emails and then phone calls. And 4 of them are going to our tournament, and a bunch of them, I referred them to practices, and now they're going to start going to their local practice.
That's cool.
A little tool.
That's awesome.
I used to use Craigslist just for pranks. Now I can put it to good use.
He started. Look, Mikey, you have made this Grinch's heart grow 3 sizes. You have made this kindergartner grow up to 9th grade. This boy is becoming a man.
My wife is a kindergarten teacher, and she's always like, my students are more mature than you are.
Ryan's growing up before our very eyes, y'all. I'm very proud. Very proud.
I'm working on it.
Who knew? We just needed Mikey all along. Just pro gear.
Yeah. Dude, but I take advice from other people. You know what I mean? Like, I get great advice from like Paul Italia, Sue Fisher, Mikey. Like, me and Mikey bounce stuff off each other. Like, that helps a lot to just like have a good core group to brainstorm. You know, like, hey, is this a good idea? What do you think of this? And we'll, you know, Mike will be like, no, that's stupid, and here's why, or that's a great idea, and here's why. And it's great to have like a think tank of people in your network to think about all like good ideas for the sport and this and that.
Definitely. Speaking of Paul, he's in the chat. Hello,
yeah,
Paul.
I see that. Shouting out our our future podcast.
Yes. And Paul, actually, Ryan Johnston was actually on the show earlier around 10 o'clock, and we were talking about the BMF trophies, those hammers and axes that the ladies are getting. So that's pretty cool. So, not ladies, I should say Shauna's getting, because Shauna's been the one to show up to all of them. So I didn't even know about it till last weekend. She was telling me about it in West Virginia. And so that's like the other thing is like, you know, that's why I really appreciate, you know, Ryan really pushing like the 98 and trying to get as much global stuff or even, you know, national stuff, because I mean, Kansas City is not that far from here. I mean, you know, it's the Midwest on the East Coast, but I mean, it's not like Antarctica.
A lot of people gave me crap for starting all those 98 groups in every state. And we're like, what are you trying to take over the country? And I'm like, it's not for us. Like, we're not throwing tournaments in fucking Idaho or whatever. But if you are throwing a tournament in Idaho, you could post your flyer in that group and attack the surrounding states, because those are the guys that are going to go to your tournament. When you throw a flyer in arm wrestling discussion, you don't even know who's seeing it. You know what I mean? But now you know that most likely the people in that group are from that state. So you can kind of target your demographic of people that you want to come. So, and then since then, all these people have reached out for us to make one for their country. So we have like 14 countries now, which is fucking awesome, dude. Yeah. And they're all slowly just growing because we want to add people from those states as the admins, let them run it. And they, you know, they can add, I don't know, like all the pullers in, you know, Iowa, but someone from there does. So we make them an admin and they can just add a bunch of people from their state to grow those groups. And then it helps as a promoter. You know, it helps the promoters to post them in there.
Definitely. Very cool. So anything you want to say to the ladies?
Come to our tournaments.
Come out to our tournament.
Let us help you. Help me help you.
All arm wrestlers, really. Here's one thing that annoys me, dude, is like, so a lot of arm wrestlers don't want to click that going button. They'll put like interested. And it's like, okay, I know when there's a fucking flyer that I'm going or I'm not fucking going. You know what I'm saying? Like, hit that going button, because it's hard for us as promoters to decide what size venue to get for an event. So if we have a more accurate idea of how many people are going to show up, we can get a better venue. But when 200 people put interested and like 50 people put going, and then you have the tournament and like 60 people show up, it's like, dude, like, maybe you are interested, but everybody knows whether they can make it or they can't make it to a tournament. So just try to
everybody, Ryan.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, try to be a little more accurate. Like, if you know you're going, say going. If you know you're not going to go, you don't have to be nice and put interested, because I don't care. I don't care if you're coming or not, but I would like to know if you are coming, because then I could get a bigger or better venue. You know, like our first Winter Blast day, we got this venue and like 200 people showed up, and we were expecting like 100 from the event page. And I was like, oh my God, can we even pull this off? And we did, but it was like scary as fuck. You know? It's a good problem, but a bad problem. You know what I mean?
I feel like I appreciate when people put interest in.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Facebook algorithm, if they put interested,
Yeah.
I believe it shares it on their page that they're interested, which helps spread the word. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'll click interested on just about anybody's arm wrestling.
I do the same thing, but
just to try to
I
get
wish,
it in my feed.
what I wish though is if people know they're actually going, like
The going button.
because some people put interested because they don't
And then
want
show
people to
up.
know they're coming
Yeah.
because they think people are going to be gunning for them.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I'm not going to say I'm coming.
Yeah.
Maybe so and so that can beat me won't show up. You know, like I see that a lot, and
Yeah.
Travis touched on it. Like some of these guys just want to hang on to their fucking, you know, whatever their score is or their rating or you know whatever. But it's fucking arm wrestling. Like I'll arm wrestle anyone, and I suck. If someone challenged, I mean, Paul Italia challenged me, and I'm just like, all right, let's go. You know, like I knew I was going to lose. It doesn't matter. It was still
You said
fun as
too,
hell.
that going button, it's not just the venue. I mean, everything comes down to how many refs you need, how many tables you're going to run.
Right.
You know, do you need multiple bracket people? It all comes down to what you're going to have in attendance, and it's so hard to plan without having an accurate count of who's coming.
Right.
Right.
Well, I will say that your girl puts us interested for good, because then I remember to go back and share the flyer to wherever it is it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So even if I know I'm not going, I will still click interested so I can go through. Because like so many people are like, hey, does anybody have a tournament and such and such? I'm like, well, wait, I think I saw one, and I can hit events and see it there. So yeah, I've done.
I think arm wrestlers too need to start promoting themselves. Like if you're an arm wrestler and you really want to be like top level, you need to be your own brand. Like you need to promote yourself, because that helps us promote you too. Like if we've never heard of you, how can we help you get a light shined on you? You know, like luckily up here in the Northeast, like I know most of the people just from traveling around and going to things, but like I couldn't tell Mikey who like the new up and comers are in Florida. You know what I mean? But if they brand themselves and they promote themselves, and I see a post or something like someone saying, you know, like my name's so and so, and I'm at this level, and I'm trying to grind to get to this level, like promote yourself, you know. And then I see that, and I'm like, hey, you want to come on the podcast, and we'll shine a light on you and tell us your story. That helps. Or reach out. Feel free to reach out, like say, hey, I'd love to come on your podcast, and we'll put you on the list. You know what I mean? Like we want to shine a light on everybody equally.
Make sure you request the new podcast, not the FTG one.
If it's an interview, it's going to be on. All the interviews are going to be on the new one. So we won't even really interview anybody on the FTG one. So, but yeah, we want to really get, you know, we want people to feel comfortable coming on and telling their story, whether they're a brand new amateur or a top level pro. I mean, and that's kind of like the whole concept of 98, where like we're not so focused on the top. Like most promoters and most, you know, people that throw events are really only focused on the top level people. And we wanted to make it feel more comfortable for like the average arm wrestler to come to our tournament and not feel like, oh man, it's gonna be all pros.
Yeah.
You know, I'm nervous. So up here, like now it's almost like there's a shift, like there's more amateurs and like coming to events, because those are the guys that make your event. I mean, you might get one or two top level pros, but you're gonna get a shitload of amateurs and like mid-level pros. And so we try to focus on that more. But like this collab with Mikey, we're gonna focus on everybody equally. So you know, it's good. I think it's gonna be fun, and we'll see what happens.
Wait, does this mean Sarah's
Good
going to be at
collab.
Winter Blast?
Wait, say it again.
Does this mean Sarah's going to be at Winter Blast?
I would venture to say yes. I will definitely be there, and I'm sure she'll be tagging along too. I don't know if she'll pull the event, but she'll be in attendance.
That's fair.
Once
That's
they're all
fair.
drained out, she'll beat them in the after pool.
Yeah. Well, she'll be after pulling for sure.
She could probably before pull us and then still beat us and then still beat us in the after pulls.
Yeah, she's something else.
And Arm Gods is doing their thing Friday night, so that's going to be
That's so cool.
And actually, I know Sarah was a little mad at them because they said like Paul Maiden said something about never doing women, and they just released a women's card. They're doing an event.
Did they?
So Sarah's probably gonna be like, okay, now I'm not mad at Paul anymore.
All right, good.
Who's on the women's card?
I didn't even see it yet. I just saw like the advertisement for it, but then I jumped on here. So I'm gonna have to go check it out and see what it's about.
Can you send it to me, please?
Yeah, I gotta go find where I saw it. It's probably on Paul Maiden's page, or I'll go find it. But that's pretty cool.
Very cool. That is exciting. Yeah, I'm all about the women's matches.
Yeah. Dude, they're more exciting than the guy matches, honestly. You know?
Yeah. Well, I know I'm really excited for Angie Rose versus Petrodam and in 2 Saturdays. And then Ursula hits the big stage with Knuckles Up on September 14th.
Yeah.
So
dude, I know Mikey's coming up. We're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that in person.
I know they announced it, but is it happening? Sarah versus Ashley, I think her name was. The New Zealand.
Yeah, it was announced, it was official, and then there was some mix up on dates. So I'm not sure now. I don't think it is still happening.
Okay. Gotcha. Very cool. Well, then I won't ask you any other questions because I'll save those for Sarah. Yeah. Well, very cool. How so we talked about like pullers showing up, sharing your stuff, making sure that when we have great experiences at events, we're really getting the word out to those, utilizing the 98 groups for all the different states, so that you can have local pullers coming out to your event. So I think like Mikey said, it's just going in a really good direction. Even within the next year, I think we'll be looking back and being like, oh snap, all this happened in just a year. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Anytime. You've been very 98 friendly, and I love your podcast. So I love watching your arm wrestling journey, your weight loss journey. Makes me feel like a piece of shit.
Well, I wanted to do that. It's supposed to motivate you, Ryan.
It is motivating me. I'm starting
supposed to be inspiring.
Sean Hancock gave me some of that rub, and I've been eating healthy just to put it on and take pictures for Instagram.
What, he gave you some?
Yeah, well, he was down there in Florida, so
nice. No, I've been to like 4 of his tournaments. He never gave me rub. What the heck, Sean?
Me and Mikey got some.
Yeah, I got some too.
Sean Hancock, not friendly to female arm. No, just kidding. Just kidding, guys.
No, he gave some to everyone that down there, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have came.
Yeah, you should have come. That's why you didn't get it.
I really should have.
Yeah.
It's worth getting, though. I'm telling you, it's pretty good.
Well, and I started my new job on July 29th, and then it was going to be that Saturday. And it was one of those things where like I could leave and like drive all night and be there, and then drive all back day Sunday, and then like really have to like be ready to go on Monday. And I was just like,
too much.
It was too much. And then like I felt so bad like watching the tournament and seeing all the pictures and doing everything. And I was like, I failed as a female arm wrestler promoter. Sarah Boxing Classic, and I'm not even there. Right?
There's always next year.
Oh, for sure coming next. I'm doing the same thing I did for Winter Blast, because Winter Blast I had a family emergency and wasn't able to come up for that after I promised Ryan I would, and I
forgave you.
I
forgave you for that.
I appreciate it. So hopefully Sarah will forgive me for this year, and next year I will be there.
I had a blast down there. It was great.
Shut up, Ryan. We know.
Me and Mikey are going to put the Sean Boom's steak rub on all our guests on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's going to rub them down.
See, See, Ryan, you should just be glad that I wasn't there, because if you hadn't been there, or if I had been there, I would have totally won them over more than you, and they'd be partnering with me and not 98.
We can all be partners.
Yeah.
Sounds like a deal.
I mean, I had
Hold
to
you
pay,
to
listen, I had to pay them to publicly pretend to be friends with me. So
that. Okay, just shoot me your Venmo. I'll send you some.
Sean gave me a whole box of that rub, and I gave it to Mikey, and I was like, "You got to start a podcast with me."
You bribed me.
I bribed him with a Longhorn Steakhouse parm crusted steaks.
Oh yeah.
And those, what were they? Those chicken firecracker things, dude.
Yes, the firecracker wraps.
Mikey put me onto those, dude. Those are crazy.
Yeah, because you usually only get the parmesan crusted, because that's all you ever talk about.
Yeah, because me and Shubitch and all those guys, like, we went out to eat, dude, and they didn't know that you could parm crust the steak. And I was like, where the fuck have you been living? And then they all tried it, and boom, we started a secret cult of parm crusted steak people, lovers.
Well, very cool. Well, I'm glad you have something new to try now, rather than the parm crusted steak.
Well, now I can't. Mikey put me onto those things. I'm like, I can't eat those now because I'm trying to like cut down on, you know.
Gotcha.
I'm one of those guys. Like, once I start a diet, I have to be strict. Like, if I have one cheat night, it's not good. It'll throw me off. You know what I mean? So I don't even bother with the cheat nights. I just go full on.
There you go. Well, good. Look at Ryan. He's going to be all snatched soon, everybody. We're so excited. He's growing up. He's getting stronger. He's on a diet. Like, it's a whole new man.
Once the shoulder heals up, some people are in trouble. That
right. He's gonna start arm wrestling for real. He's gonna become the world's best arm wrestler rather than the world.
That's unlikely.
He's gonna be calling out Devin and Levon and just East versus West. Probably not, but
probably not.
Probably not.
Since he already burned that bridge. And...
I'm under the 98 umbrella, not the East versus West eyebrow.
Okay. Well, hey, you made it 17 minutes.
Hey, it's past midnight. I'm good.
You made it 17 minutes past midnight. I'm so proud of you.
Dude, I did it. This is progress.
This is huge growth.
Well, hey, eventually we'll have you on me and Mikey's more serious podcast.
Well, I'd love to.
That'd be cool.
Very cool. Well, I won't hold your breath because I know there's definitely a lot of people that you could do, and kind of already did it here too. So just let me know, and I'll be ready.
Yeah, cool, man.
Sure. And thank you just for your time tonight, guys. I'm really looking forward to where this collab happens, where Pro Gear and everything you're doing in Florida. I'm really excited for all those events. Check out if you're in Puerto Rico. That'd be really cool if you're watching and you're in Puerto Rico. Hey! Yeah. Make sure you check out his event down there. And then September 28th, Elkhart, Indiana, for all my Midwest people. And then October 5th, down in Florida. Check that out.
There you go. Yeah.
And then September 7th, make sure you check out Ryan's up here near Pennsylvania. And then, of course, we're always promoting Winter Blast. Ryan takes good care of us ladies with amateur classes, which don't get me started on those because we don't talk about amateur classes with Lucky. We don't talk about weight classes with Lucky. He takes good care of us with amateur classes and with some really fair split women's weight classes. So thank you to Sue Fisher and Ryan for that. And
it's all Sue.
We will see you all next Saturday for the one, the only, our goddess of arm wrestling, Miss Sarah Bachman.
Oof, yeah. I'm a fan. I'll be tuning in.
Sounds good.
I'll be in the chat trolling her.
So call her out for a super match, please.
Oh, she'd kill me, dude.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right. See you later.
See ya.
Now me and Mikey are going on another podcast.